Cheers to episode 193. Fantasy football. Alex is fired up. We got him in a good state.
Cheers.
I just don't like how you're being a sore loser.
I'm not. Ugh. He will not get roped back into it. I'm drinking tea.
Water.
I also have water too. Welcome into the show. It's Monday, December 2nd, 2024, 9:14 p.m. Eastern, 8:14 Central. We just probably had 30 to 45 minutes of fantasy football time. Fantasy football talk.
Timers on segments now, Grant. Remember.
I haven't started the clock yet. Actually, I will.
I did.
15 minutes for the intro and
What?
check-ins. Joining us is a good friend of the show, Cody, with a C. Thanks for being here, Cody.
Go Blue.
Go Blue, baby. Wolverine Wilkins from the clouds. Evan has a late night hoops practice, and I would say Wilkins is a Michigan State fan, Michigan State grad as well. I would say in ranking of him, Evan, and Alex, he hates Michigan the least. Alex probably hates Michigan second, and then Evan hates him the most. And then Connor likes Michigan, so he doesn't even hate him.
I'd say that's accurate.
So we have him in for the big game
Favorite
thoughts.
bit, just on Connor, just while we're on him, is when he's listening, or really anybody, when you guys
Or
are
Connor.
listening to the podcast, you text us mid-podcast, and then usually we say what you thought we weren't going to say like 5 minutes later. That's my favorite thing that people do.
I'd
really
probably
fun.
do that, though. I'd probably do that.
It always makes me laugh.
It is tough when you listen to a show and they get something blatantly wrong, and you're thinking in your car, wherever you're at, that ooh, they should have said that, or they're wrong. Like, 'cause, well, the most recent one when Connor texted us, I was just
Way off.
blanked out about the playoff. And I was like, oh wait, Boise State's in the Mountain West. We actually had solved our problem, and I just couldn't figure it out.
We're not professionals, but we usually correct our mistakes if we remember.
That's what we need, that other show Around the Horn where they correct your mistakes at the end. Or wait, no, that was PTI.
That's PTI.
Everything goes
Just
back to
Around
PTI.
the Horn guy is the one that does the mistakes.
Yes, that's right. I heard Around the Horn's gone.
No, it's not. I saw it on TV the other day.
Is there? No, but it's like ending,
it's ending.
soon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is there an opening in the market?
Well, guys,
Feels
you
like
see
it.
that? They just threw up to Cortland Sutton and he didn't catch it. Not very good.
Stop. Those that don't know. We're going to get into weekly check-ins, Pookies and Dookies of the week. Cody is going to give us his top 10 college football teams. Alex and I were just going to listen to it and comment on it because we did ours, I think, either last week or 2 weeks ago. So he'll give us that before the conference title games. We got the Lions, Michigan State, and Michigan to wrap us out today. Let's start with Alex. What did you do this week? I know.
I don't need to know my personal life.
I don't know everything.
I flew home. Home that is no longer home. I flew to Michigan Wednesday.
Wow.
Any
So
fun
my
travel
grand-
stories? You always have an issue with the plane.
On the way back, yeah.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday morning flight.
Straight to the bar.
No.
Oh.
It's to my parents'
Took
house.
Wednesday
my
off work?
parents. Yeah. I had to fly. Travel day.
Damn, today probably did start going back to work. That's a long break.
It did. Thursday, I went to East Lansing. Grandparents, Thanksgiving. It's good. I told the fantasy football chat 5 big booms. 5 big booms. Friday, I went hunting in the morning with fellow podcaster Evan. It was miserably cold. Did not see anything.
I bailed.
Friday night, I saw some good buddies, Cody included. Thought it was going to be like a drug intervention or something, but just turns out he just wanted to hang out with good buddies. Saturday, hung out with the two of you and the gracious host, KFM.
KFM. It sounds like a radio station when you type that out.
That's what Connor calls him.
I forgot what I texted back, Alex. Oh, I was pretty drunk when I got home on Saturday. Did not need that Sparty party. Let's just say that. That must be like 8% ABV.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you
Dr.
said some mean
Love.
things.
No, I didn't.
You said some mean things at the end, yeah.
What?
You called Cody and I out for our hair. It was mean.
No. I said I could use it too. I know I patted you, but I also said myself. Like, we should all do hymns. I wasn't kidding. Let's
Yeah,
try
me,
it.
you,
If
and
it works.
Cody, you said we should all do it.
Yeah, we
Should we
gotta
do it?
get one of those turkey doctors to sponsor.
Wilkins
the show
and I are
fly
going to
us out
Turkey
there.
with White Sox Dave and
Yeah.
getting into
I was gonna say Barstool just did it.
Yeah, so Wilkins and I are going to do that. We're thinking December next year. All right, Wilkins, I'm thinking December next year. So let's see if that works.
All right.
Be
For the
like
record,
$3,000.
I think your guys' hair is perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I do
And
see mine starting to
after you
get deeper up here. I mean,
Not terrible on the left. The right, bad.
Turkey got me in.
It's not that bad. I don't think any of ours is bad enough where like we look like Jim.
Can we make a pact though? If like any of us get that bad, like we have the right of way to sit each other down.
And tell us to shave it.
Yeah,
Like
I think I'd
like
probably
bald?
just buzz it. I would just buzz it. Yeah.
Wilkins would, of the three of us, would probably look the best because he's got nice facial hair.
No, I don't. I know it wouldn't. I'd look like a cancer patient.
Yeah. You have to have a beard. If you're gonna lose the up top, you got to have it down here.
Yeah.
Correct. I don't have it, so I hope no one ever makes that call for me.
Okay.
Unless it gets to the just the sides point. That bad. Then cut it, obviously, but it's not even close to that.
I don't think we even set him down. I think we just fundraise for a turkey trip for him. Just do
We're
something.
going
nice.
to Turkey in December, anyways. We already decided.
For fun, even if we're not doing that,
It's only like $3,000 to get the thing done.
it's like a 20-hour flight, isn't it? That's like worse than the money.
I've seen it all over, dude.
They like
You
they shuttle
they-
you.
put you
to the
on like a
hotel.
fucking
It's like a
limo.
nice
They take you to a
hotel.
nice hotel. They drive you into the thing. Like you do nothing, and you get it done, and then you fly back.
And then
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Everybody in the airport, you just see all these guys with the headbands
Yeah,
with the
it's
name
like
of the
super
doctor
common.
on.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I already
You
have
have
my
to wear
solution.
headband back.
I think I'm just gonna wear beanies for the like, 1 month or whatever it takes to like get back to a normal looking state.
Yeah, I think the only miserable part would be going into work. And
Yeah, how do
'cause
I- I've been
there's
trying to
nothing you
figure
can
it out.
wear.
How do I figure it out where I can not go to work other than just like if I go to work with a buzz cut, that's fine. That's like, oh, he's trying something new. If I go to work with like a bald head and it like marks on my head, it's like, what the is this guy doing? Like,
I think you
can't
just have to say it. I just gotta be like, yeah, like, what do you want?
Am
I got a hair
comfortable-
transplant
Am I
soon.
comfortable enough to fucking say
Joe
that?
Buck did it.
I don't know.
Joe Buck did it. What do you
A
want?
lot of people do it. I can name like hundreds of celebrities.
He does
that
Monday
have
Night
done
Football. Dave Portnoy did it. He had a huge in the back of his head. I remember.
it. David Beckham
Yeah.
Really?
did it.
I never would have
Yeah.
known that.
Ben Affleck.
Should we not try hymns first?
What? How do you know Wilkins isn't doing it?
I don't
No,
know.
no.
Well, I'm not
I
going to
think
air them out, but they said
Hymns-
I'll bleep it. But
If
like,
this is still off the record,
well, part of it's out. That was funny.
yeah, you
Hymns
can leave
just
that.
strengthens what you have. Like,
Not true.
like if
I
you're
started it like a month ago, so I've already been using it.
okay.
Oh,
naughty.
off.
It does work. Like
Are you on the erectile dysfunction as well?
my hair's moved like probably like a half an inch down already, like the
Oh,
line. But
very
like
good.
there's certain spots probably like Wilkins. No offense, like Grant's hair is like fine, but like Wilkins, you have
Yeah.
much like higher. If
Oh, yeah.
there's spots already that are dead, like nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But you have to do it for like 3 months. You have to do it every single day, and it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Is it a
but
poo? What is it?
It's like a spray bottle thing. You have to spray left, right, middle, top.
Oh.
But it does work though.
Huh.
For the I mean, it's not going to bring your hair back to what you were when you're 17, but like you can get better.
I've
The
also
whole
just
point
had
is
this-
if you get your hair a lot thicker, a hair transplant is easier.
I've had this
Mm.
hairline since I was a little kid, so it's just like I think the only thing I could do would be to go to Turkey and have them seed this. But then I think
The rule of
it'd probably
thumb
look
is
ridiculous.
4 fingers between your eyebrows and your head, and if you have
I
that
see.
proportion, you don't look like a freak. I have that proportion anyways because I have a small head. So it doesn't
It feels intense. I don't know if anyone. I would never say either of you look close to a freak.
No, mine is 4 fingers.
Hmm.
They also,
Maybe
when you
even
get it
less.
done, they
It's
do
like
it
3
too straight.
fingers.
So you'd look like Mike Bibby or something.
I'm so
don't know
used
if
to
you've seen Mike
Cody's that
Bibby.
I think both of yours. I think it would freak me out if he got it done. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I might look too hot, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Another thing is the people in
Look out.
Tecumseh that I grew up with think my hair is way worse than people here who didn't see me as a kid with JB flow.
Yeah,
So like no one
Yeah.
here even thinks I have a problem.
right. You don't
Like
You
one
don't have-
one guy, I made a joke at golf. I was like, oh yeah, I have balding hair. He's like, what? I was like, what do you mean? What? He's like, you're balding? It's like, no, I guess not. No, I'm not.
No, you're right. Who said that?
Like, no. So that's also half the battle.
Yeah.
But I don't like when people make comments about it, Grant.
Sorry, I
That's
patted you on the back. That's probably the worst part of it. All right. Anything else then?
Yeah,
You
I was
hung
only
out,
halfway
and then you
there.
flew back.
Saturday, saw
You only have 3
got-
minutes left in the segment.
And then Sunday, I flew back and we took off. Well, we left the gate. We're on the plane, boarded. Everything's going swimmingly. We're about to in the takeoff lane, and they're like, "Hello, everyone. Nothing wrong with the plane, but we're headed back to the gate." Mind you, we've been sitting at this thing for 30 minutes. It's time to go. Turns out since this is a longer flight, we don't have enough catering items, so we're gonna head back and get some more food and drink for y'all.
Oh my God.
This flight was 2 hours in the air.
That
That's
would make
crazy.
me mad.
And so then we didn't take off for another hour. So supposed to land at 5:30 here. I landed at 7:30, got home at 8:30. It's terrible. So yeah. And then we took off with one of the overhead
That
bins
was-
down.
That was crazy.
And
Never seen
I'm
that.
sitting in the aisle on the right. It's up 5 rows up in front of me to the left. So I'm just staring at it. I'm it's down. And I'm motioning with my arms as we're taking off. I'm guys, this is
Really?
down. Yeah, because it was not latched, and then it started falling when we started moving. So I'm oh my God, someone just push it up. Just put your arm. So this one guy is just going this nonchalant about it. He's not even all he has to do is just stand up a tiny bit and he can push that thing close. No, the dude behind him just just doesn't care. Just doesn't care. I'm this thing that's gonna fly out and kill somebody. What are we doing? And then I look back and the flight attendant lady, she's on my left. She's just I'm are you kidding me? This is normal?
Did you get up and do it?
And then eventually the seatbelt sign went off, and I just walked up to him, pushed it up. I'm are you kidding me? No one touched it.
You did do it. Good for you, man.
Because I was pissed. I was I don't know what we're doing.
You double birded everyone on the way back.
And the lady in front of me puked the entire way. So that was disgusting.
That's not real. I assume that never happens on planes.
She had a puke bag, and they just kept coming by, giving her a new ginger ale and a new puke bag, and then they would go put their gloves on and grab her puke bag. I'm
For a 2-hour flight, how many times?
So nasty. Probably went through 3 puke bags.
I would never get on a plane.
And we're starting to go down, and we're
Oh my
descending or ascending, descending.
That's a nightmare.
Going through a
my
little bit of
God.
turbulence, and seatbelt signs on. We're preparing for landing. She's she rings her little thing.
Mm.
Yeah, can I get another ginger ale? I'm are you kidding? There's 5 minutes left in this
Good
flight.
thing they went back to get more.
And the guy
snacks
comes
and
by.
drinks.
It's it was the first class attendant dude. He comes by. He's what can I do for ya? She's yeah, I need another ginger ale. And then he sees because he wasn't dealing with her the whole flight. He sees the puke bucket thing, and he's ooh, let me know if you need anything else. And then he pulls out a puke bucket and gives it to her. I'm dude, this is so gross.
Did it start to smell?
Luckily, no, I did not notice a smell.
Imagine
If
sitting
it
next to
smelled
her.
bad, she's a row in front of me.
Oh my God.
Her kid was next to her, and he could not be bothered. He was just watching iPad games. Whatever.
Not his first time. Mommy always does this.
The dad did not seem bothered either. He just seemed like it was normal.
So
This
brutal.
is so nasty. Yeah,
Thick.
it's just another normal flight for me.
Cody?
Yeah, when you fly, you invent new issues that I didn't even think could arise.
That's true.
It sucks.
Yeah, most of my week was kind of in there. Bowling league on Tuesday. Bowled
Bowling
hours
league, hell yes.
per usual. Athlete. It's nice to have a short week. Thursday, Thanksgiving. Had to go to 2 houses, go to my parents and then Paige's mom's side. We went to Howell. I made my own spin on a mac and cheese recipe. It was pretty banging. And some corn spoon bread for my parents, and then we made that orange jello fluff situation for her mom's.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know what orange yellow fluff thing means.
Orange Jello fluff. It's like orange Jello, Cool Whip, mandarin oranges, marshmallows. You kind of only have it at Thanksgiving.
No cottage cheese. I've seen it with cottage cheese, I think.
No
Or
cottage
do you
cheese,
do cottage?
no. Just Cool Whip.
Okay.
Just sweet.
Cool.
That was kind of a tough situation in itself because kind of when Thanksgiving was scheduled, I had to listen to the second half of the Lions game on Sirius XM. So it was Benetti and Ryan
Sirius
Leaf,
XM.
which was one of the worst experience. I like Benetti, but it was one of the worst experiences that I've ever listened to just because of how the Lions played in the second half. But we'll get into that.
Good podcasting.
Friday,
Good tease.
went over to friend of the podcast Colby's house with Alex. That was it was tough at first because there was no good games on for Black Friday. Thankfully, Ole Miss Purdue basketball ended up being good, and then we got to see the 8 overtime Georgia Tech game. So that was exhilarating.
That's sick.
Shout out to his mother for hosting us. And then Saturday went to KFM's house with you guys. Got to see the Michigan win.
Kiss FM.
Don't change that dial.
Grant had a few too many
92.5
beverages.
KFM.
But Grant was just on cloud 9. Didn't stop talking, I think,
Whoa,
from both
we'll get
the
into
booze
that.
and
Honestly,
the Michigan game, which we'll get into.
The more that I think about it, it may have been like 30% drunk, 70% just flabbergasted.
I think
by
it was
the game.
I think it was. Sometimes if MSU wins like that, I never stop talking. So I wasn't mad at you. I just thought it was hilarious to call out.
I honestly think I was more when I got home when the Sparty Party kicked it on the drive.
It was an all-time
Great
callback.
job, Cody. Go blue, Alex. Thank you! Exclamation point. Who were you when you sent that?
All-time callback when he says, "I can't believe Dr. Love isn't Cormac."
Another one
in my chair, kind of coming down a little bit, and during the A&M game, and I was like, "That's crazy. That happened."
You were like, "Dude, no, it's Cormac."
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good time, and then Sunday, nothing. Just kind of get my life back on track since it was kind of just 3 days of drinking and eating. So meal prepped and
I didn't eat for 24 hours from yesterday to noon today.
Wow, fast.
And
no Taco Bell.
I wasn't even
upset.
hungry. That's how much just shit I piled into my body for 3 days.
Yeah.
Let's see. Very similar timeline to that. Wednesday worked, after work, drove down to Sylvania.
Why'd you flex on us that you worked Wednesday?
Well, because that's what we do as a show. You know, I got to keep the lights on in the country.
I work a lot all the time.
Drove to Sylvania. Great time there. Good food on Thanksgiving. Got to see my aunt and uncle. They came over, watched the Lions game. Don't really remember watching anything of the Cowboys game. And then watched Packers. Butler, shout them. We won't talk about them in the sports, but they won the Arizona tip-off, which happened over those couple days, which was fantastic. They're back on track, 6-1. Got some big games coming up against Houston, I think, December 7th. And then they play Wisconsin in the Indy Classic. So massive. Yep. Pierre Brooks, shout out Michigan State legend. And then Friday, did a little Black Friday shopping, I guess. Trip to the mall with my mom, sister, and Marissa turned into a clothes shopping experience for me, which they would claim always happens, but I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it happens to anyone else. The men's section's downstairs. We split up. They went upstairs. I had to go pee. This was like 5 minutes into looking for clothes. I go upstairs in Dillard's, was where we were at in Ohio. And I'm like, they're all standing by each other. I'm like, are you guys like looking? They're like, no, there's no sales up here for the women. Like, nothing's like marked off. And downstairs, like every other rack is 40%, 50% off. And I was like, oh, well, there's like 2 whole sections down here that I kind of like their clothes. So I'm going to try a bunch of stuff on. So they ended up coming downstairs and basically grabbed up my personal shopping assistants. They grabbed all the clothes, get their opinions on it.
Shopping.
I felt kind of guilty after because they were like, they got nothing. And I basically did most of my
they love
shopping.
that shit.
I don't know. I got made fun of a lot the rest of the day. I was like, you guys said there was no sales. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
And then Saturday, KFM's house. Great time.
KFM.
First time I think I've been in his living room.
No.
Which I is kind of crazy because I've been
No.
like through the house, but never turned that corner. I realized once I was there with the carpet. Very nice. Love that nice little space there. Cozy.
No.
So, and then Sunday, similar to what Wilkins said, just got life back there. Didn't meal prep really this week. Went to Whole Foods. They have some like pre-made family style meals. Bought those. Just took it from one tray, put it into the meal prep containers. Done for the week because I was like, I'm not cooking a single thing on Sunday. Got Wingstop.
Yeah.
That was I didn't need that
Ew.
Sunday night.
That always sounds better than it tastes.
It's never
Worst fries
good,
I've
dude.
ever had.
It's never good.
They bundled the
never
fries. They were so overcooked.
Oh.
I always feel like shit when I eat it.
Yeah, it
Like-
makes you feel bad immediately.
Oh, pick 6, Jameis Winston.
If you get lemon pepper, it's just like oil on chicken tenders.
Yeah, it's
like
just-
I don't know
it's
what they
just-
do.
I got a Cajun
Not
rub
good.
or Louisiana rub. They put it on the side in a cup. I couldn't even
Ugh.
use it. It was disgusting.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything
So
else?
No blackout Wednesday for the fellas. I forgot to mention I went to Auto Friendsgiving, so thank you, Connor, for hosting. That is where we watched the Michigan State North Carolina game. Electric atmosphere. So thanks to them for hosting. But it felt good not to be hungover on Thursday and just do some casual drinking, watching some hoops. So
Yeah, I didn't get drunk the whole weekend. I mean, I drank pretty consistently throughout
Same.
the entire time, but I never felt drunk.
Yeah.
are we? We're not like washed per se, but we've maybe hit the age where, at least in our hometown bar scene, we're
I
not
mean,
going
Grant,
out
we just-
anymore.
Did a 20-minute segment on how we're going to Turkey for hair transplant. So yeah, we're getting old.
Yeah, we're washed.
My mom was really trying to get us to go to Muck's, and I was like, she's like, I'll drive you guys. I was like, I think as I get older, if it was like a little bit more room and I knew my group of friends would go, I probably would go. It's just like I don't need to.
It's also
I
just
don't need
if
to
we
go.
were. I was telling this to someone. If we lived in like a big city or grew up in a big city or near a big city, we
it's
would
different,
probably
yeah.
still be going out for like
Yeah,
5
like-
more years.
like,
But
I would
we
love, like-
have its tiny living room bar. Like it's
Yeah.
not.
Like some of the
Not a
Houston
thing.
bars you go to, Al, that would be a great environment. Like TVs
just
everywhere,
outside,
we all
chilling,
sit
drinking.
there or outside. Yeah,
Tons of
Yeah.
room. Like,
And
it's
don't
just-
get me
that's way
wrong.
different.
I do love occasional session with the boys at Muck's, but like that night specifically, I can't do anymore. I can't.
Yeah.
That's just too many
You can't
people
even,
in
you
there.
can't, literally can't even walk around in there.
No.
Yeah.
So
No table, no seat. So, yeah, it's not the vibe.
yeah. So no
Transitioning.
Wednesday blackout. Transitioning. Set the timer. That was like Santana.
It's a good one.
How many?
Like
how
two-
many?
two and
how many
three.
minutes, Alex? 10 minutes for Pookies and Dookies. Don't play
Yes.
another. Don't.
I just need to fine tune 6. Oh, groovy. Why do you hate the music so bad? It's
Because
funny.
you always say, "Let's go fast. We gotta get done." I hate this, and then you just waste time.
I was just trying to find my next tune for transition when we go to our next segment.
All right, 10 minutes on the clock, around the horn. Pardon the interruption. Pookies and Dookies. Guess Cody, start us on the spot.
I'll do this in Evan's honor. Texas, hook 'em. I know it's his favorite team. It's his last horse in the race at this
At
point.
least I don't have to get shit on for A&M this week.
Yeah, big win at A&M. Ewers didn't really look like himself. Love to see Arch Manning kind of step up and with that big touchdown run. Kind of a boring game in general because A&M just really couldn't
Game
move the ball with
sucked.
Marcel
I didn't even
Reed.
know he
Tuned
scored.
into it.
Yeah, he scored the first touchdown. It probably should have been more of a blowout, but Ewers threw that like 90-yard pick six. So
Two
good on
turnovers
Texas.
in the
Good
red
on
zone.
Sark. SEC
You know,
title game.
Obviously,
Grant,
A&M.
wait, Grant, hold on.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. I know A&M fans, they're not going to feel better because it's a rivalry game. They haven't played in like 15 years, so you don't want to lose. But if you told yourself your first year with Mike Elko was 8-4, you're looking in a better direction. I think they'd be happy with that too. And obviously Texas had higher stakes. So if you're a Texas fan, good to see your team win in a defensive effort where you hold them to 7. So I think they haven't, to your point, Alex, a couple weeks ago, we had that debate about why are they ranked so high. They still have to kind of prove it against the best teams, but I think they are looking the part and they can win in any kind of way that they want to win.
Yeah, I got a Dookie.
Yeah, Christian Anderson. Okay.
It's going to be called. It's conference realignment, and I'll tell you
big
why.
picture. Meditate.
I'll tell you why. Because for example, on your point right there, Texas played one of the ranked, or I guess two, of the ranked SEC opponents. Indiana played one ranked Big Ten opponent. SMU played they didn't play Clemson or Miami. And those are all teams we're talking about that are going to be in these playoffs. And now you're saying, well, why conference realignment, Alex? Well, because there's too many teams now in all the conferences, so no one plays each other. And it sucks. But on the reverse side of that, Pookie, sorry, forget. Poo sounds like poop. But Pookie is good. Pookie rivalry week was very good, and the rivalries that have been college football's like history, they all stood out and were good and enjoyable and fun.
Texas back. Yeah.
A lot of fights.
So that's like the Pookie version of that. Another Dookie, though, is that Michigan State plays Rutgers in rivalry week this year, and that's not a rivalry. So I could be that. But based on how we are playing, probably deserved.
Embrace debate outside of the Big East, because I think we're still small enough to play every team. Is the Premier League the most legit regular season champion in all of sports?
Yeah.
With their format. It's ideal for you, Alex. I'm thinking about your point where you have to play every single person home and away. I know time of year changes in your health of your team, but you can't duck anybody. You're not missing anybody on the schedule.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I do.
They play 38 games. 19 teams
NFL
twice.
NFL has it legit for their divisions as well.
Divisions, yes.
Every team home and away.
Fair. But obviously playoff, that'll depend on, they kind of try to make it even based on your seeding from last year. But yeah, Premier League is the most.
Say the closest next thing would be like in college sports would be basketball's close.
Used to be though, but
now
alignment.
Conference realignment. Bullshit.
Except for the Big East, baby. We play pretty much everybody twice because we're small enough to do it.
Golf is probably one of the closest. How the FedEx Cup format is.
Yeah, but it's individual.
Good point.
Yeah, that's
good
true.
point. We didn't limit them to team or individual though, so it's a good poll.
Yeah.
Well, I just hate conference realignment. I still do. I think it sucks. I want it gone.
Pookie, there'll be more Buckeye dumping on later. We don't put that in this part, but Kyle McCord adjacent. I saw a stat today, blew me away.
Leads the country in passing yards.
Boom. That's crazy.
Also saw that today because someone again told me Travis Hunter is not good because he's not number one in any stat.
That's a bad take.
Correct. Terrible. Not a ball knower.
That's just such a blanket way to define a player. It's like, they're not number one in anything.
It's well, he's
Kyle McCord
offense and defense. Yeah, that's what I said. I said, should Kyle McCord win the Heisman because I saw he was number one in passing yards.
And I'm not stupid. I understand the easy nitpick, especially of his week he had. He's playing Miami's Swiss cheese defense, a lot different than Michigan's. But to have that moment at the press conference when the journalist tees you up and says, hey, did you see what happened to Ohio State? And he said, comes for a full circle or something. Good for him because a lot of mean things were said about that kid last year.
You named the only Ohio State quarterback that beat Michigan?
What do you mean?
Active college Ohio State quarterback that beat Michigan.
Active college. That played in the game?
No.
Oh.
Who's it back?
Quinn Ewers?
Quinn Ewers, the only active Ohio State QB that beat Michigan.
Beat him at Texas, too.
Yeah, only at Texas. He didn't beat him at Ohio State.
Oh, I see what you mean. I didn't know if you meant was on the team when Ohio State won, but he wasn't
a starting quarterback that beat Michigan.
That beat Michigan.
An Ohio State guy. Quinn Ewers.
I had Miami as a Dookie, but I kind of touched on them there. They just completely blew they just did the Jane Daniels thing where they had the best quarterback in the country and couldn't get a defense good enough around him to get him to the playoff. So that's a problem.
I have a Dookie.
Okay.
The night slate. Night slate was Dookie.
Yeah. Texas game underwhelmed. I have a Pookie and a Dookie. Pookie is
combo.
Young SEC quarterback, specifically Lenore Sellers and DJ Lagway. Feels like two guys that have legitimate Heisman hype for next year. He's 19.
What? Is that true?
Yeah.
That'd be a crazy thing for Alex to yell out.
Pretty sure he's a freshman or sophomore.
Someone told me he was a
South
senior.
Carolina.
I don't know how old he is. Or it says class redshirt freshman.
What?
On their team.
Yeah.
Dude looks
page.
like 40.
I know. He's like Jalen
does.
Milroe, but he's a freshman.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So that's pretty exciting for both of those two programs to kind of have the guy going into next year, and those have been two middling SEC programs.
I love South Carolina home games.
Holy shit, I thought someone was joining.
Yeah.
I thought someone was joining in. It came in the fourth box, same size as you two, and it was that picture. That
Welcome in,
scared
Lenoris.
me. Lenoris,
Can you
thanks for
confirm
coming
your
on.
age?
Yeah, that guy
And
does
then-
not look 19.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I hope Childs takes a similar leap next year.
Dookie.
We'll get into that. I have a Dookie, Alex.
Yeah, he's got a
Sorry.
combo, Alex. Please.
Sorry,
Be a
I've been
This
Usually
professional.
doesn't happen.
definitely doesn't impact me personally. It's an NFL Dookie, but it's Christian McCaffrey fantasy owners who also have Jordan Mason as a handcuff. Because I mean, what a horrible Sunday night football game for you.
Grant, if you have 15 more college football takes, please spit them out before my next Pookie.
I have 2 college football. It's a combo. Also, T's and P's to Cody's team. That's brutal to have a Mason get hurt as well. And you don't have enough fab to get
Did you just say T's
Brendo.
and
So
P's?
thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. You never heard that?
No,
Never
I've heard it. I just couldn't believe you said it.
Why? I know the slang.
Never heard you say that.
I'm gonna start with Dookie. Get the bad news out. My sweet, kind of not even my sweet prince, but I've been pushing the agenda for them. Tulane. They just blew their chance to sneak into the playoff. Can't be losing to Memphis on Friday night. We didn't forget that, Tulane. And then Pookie, Tennessee. They impressed me. I bet on Vandy down 14-0 on the road, and they covered the spread still. That was a trap spot. We've seen how crazy college football is, a rivalry game with Pavia behind center for their team. And they were down 14-0 and came back and covered the spread. Didn't just win the game. Lost my bet for me. So shout out to Tennessee for that. Impressive.
Pookie,
Alex? Those are all my college ones. I just have 3 NFLs left.
Feast Week, Pookie. That's a Pookie. Because Feast Week was awesome for
Yeah.
college basketball.
Probably the
fans out
first
there.
non-football Pookie we've had, too. So Pookie to you for that.
Yeah. But the Maui, incredible.
Maui was on drugs.
Incredible.
But don't say free basketball when your friends are sweating out again.
No.
If you just blew a 10-point lead in.
Don't do that.
Don't.
The Maui was great. The weird players era tournament thing. I don't know. They get an NIL prize, I guess. Which is crazy. First of its kind. That tournament was really good. Wilkins, Oregon Ducks. Good at basketball too, I guess.
Really?
Dana
Beat
Altman,
undefeated.
the truth.
Beat Alabama, A&M.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah. Is he still on the team?
No.
He's
I need an
sure.
Oregon. Great
David
rematch.
Njoku, second
So
touchdown.
bad.
Should have started him.
Oh my gosh.
Oregon and Creighton did
Rematch.
not play. They were supposed to play in this tournament, but
Oh,
Creighton
Creighton
lost
lost.
to.
I would have
San Diego
tuned in for
State.
that just to relive the euphoria of that night.
And then Kansas and Duke played as well on Feast Week.
Did Duke win that game? I watched it, but I
No.
forgot.
Lost
The dick
Right.
man.
by 2 or 3.
He got kicked out.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I gotta
he
check
did.
it.
Did you guys? You know the Always Sunny in Philadelphia scene when they do the song about day man, something of the night man, champion of the sun.
I wish I did.
Okay, I'll
I've
send you
always
that
wanted to get
clip.
into it. Yeah.
I'll send you that clip. I just sing that tone of Dick Man because Alex called him Dick Man, so I just think Dick Man, and I sing it in my head as he plays now for Kansas.
Well, he's a loser.
Stomper of the chest, man, and you can do all these jingles to it. Yeah. All right. Sorry, derailed that.
Embrace debate. I think the week of Feast Week is better. Not just college basketball, but that's a better sports week than the first weekend of March Madness.
No.
Because
No.
you get all the fun college basketball tournaments, but you also get NFL.
Nope.
Well.
Okay.
And rivalry week.
Yeah.
But
It's a hot take, and I
The
respect
problem
the take,
is
but it's a no
this,
for me.
it's almost too much sports mixed in with family time. Whereas March Madness, I don't have to see my family, so it's just I'm dialed in the ball.
Just
Yeah,
lock
that's
into
fair.
a TV.
I'll give you that.
for
I'll grant you that. I wanted to float it
28
out
straight
there.
hours.
I like your thinking though.
I was
Good
going to
thought,
float it in a
C-Dub.
group chat, but
CW.
It was a hot
like, it might
take.
be
for
too
sure. That
spicy.
is a hot, way too spicy. I don't even think you believe it type of take.
No,
I
it's
do-
the best
I do
one though
think-
that's been thrown out there.
I
Of
do
the
because
people
I'm,
in the group
I'm
chat.
an NFL first guy, so that's where.
Well,
That's college basketball
controversial
just
on
stresses
this
me out,
podcast.
especially in MSU's playing. So that's usually a stressful time for me.
College sports are really stressful because you just don't know what you're going to get week to week.
Dookie, Dan Hurley too. That guy's a bum.
I'm never
Yeah.
playing in one of these tournaments again.
I'm
Let me
never
walk
gonna
back.
play at a gym that's not a blah blah blah. I
Big
mean, he
arena.
looked like the biggest loser of all time. And Gray, you've defended him till you've died. So I just want to see if you've changed.
Where's he on the Nick Sirianni scale?
Oh, he's right up there for me.
Wow.
I mean, I hate Nick
Wow.
Sirianni. He's the worst. But
Yeah, let me address that because we did text about that. I blindly defended him because the ref stuff on the first night, that was a terrible call. As the week went on, yeah, I can't defend the later in the action weeks for Maui. Those are valid points.
Playing in a tournament. He's only playing single game events. He will only play in big time arenas.
He also
basically shit on the Maui, which is
he
the
made
best
it weird.
tournament.
He made it weird and said,
that they
"Unless
have."
I leave UConn." That was like a weird thing to throw in at the end too. Like he was like, "Unless I go somewhere else, maybe."
He's a strange cat.
Yeah.
He's
He's
a
a
really weird
freak.
guy. There's a good interview. I think that why I kind of liked him. He did a sit down with like in depth with Graham Bessinger. I think Tom Izzo's done that interview too. It's where the guy like follows you for a day and then he does like a 2-hour interview with you, kind of like Rogan-esque, but it's not less of a conversation. It's more him asking you questions. But he's just an interesting guy. But yeah, tough towards the end of the week in the Maui. Definitely stock down.
And I can't believe they're ranked. I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's just last year.
Anybody
hangover.
ever been ranked after losing 3 straight games to unranked teams?
Couldn't tell you. ESPN stats and info. Where's Tony Reale when you need him?
I just told you. It's probably never happened.
Here's my rapid succession NFL Pookies. Russell Wilson, 400-yard bomb. I know the Bengals defense is Dookie, but that's impressive. That looked like
Lou
prime
Anarumo.
Russ.
That guy needs to be fired tomorrow.
Yeah, talk about a guy that maybe should have taken a head coaching job when he had a chance to get a fat check and then get fired
the
after
Super Bowl
that.
run. Yeah.
Yeah. Chargers, my beloved Jimmy. He's got them off to their best start since whatever stat. I saw a stat. Go into Atlanta, who's also a frisky playoff team, beat them. They're just winning games ugly. And then this is interesting. I was looking back at the NFL week and I was like, nothing really stood out as like a major Pookie or a major Dookie. And it's because every single team that you kind of thought should win their game won. And I like bared it out by who had the better records in all their games. And they just did. Like every single team going in that had like a better record. I don't know if they're necessarily the money line or spread favorite. They all won their games. There was no like letdowns by any good team. There were some close calls, but everyone pulled it out.
Yeah.
Which was nuts.
Pookie
Kinda
Josh
boring.
Allen got engaged and was the first player to have a throwing, rushing, and receiving touchdown in the same game. Best quarterback in the NFL.
Donovan Edwards was supposed to do that against the Buckeyes. Good for Josh that he pulled that off in the same weekend. Alex, that's tough. Dookie Alex, he's a big Haley Steinfeld guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard you say comments about her before in the past.
Yeah,
As your like celebrity
she's
crush.
really hot.
Now she's engaged. Maybe you'll be in the wedding.
No.
Any others? That's all for me.
Pookie. Grant asked us to be in his wedding. Congratulations, Grant.
Yeah. We
I
breezed
said
through
no.
that in check-ins.
Yeah, Alex said no, he's busy that day.
Cool little cool way he did it too. I like that. That's unique.
You guys know you can take a cigar in your check-in or carry-on bag?
No.
You
Yeah, that
can.
makes sense.
Wow.
I did.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Wilkins, you have 5 minutes to give us your top 10 college football teams.
I don't even need 5 minutes. I'll cruise through it. Wow, I might. Alex is playing a transition song. All right. Coming in at 10. Boise State. I don't think there's any arguments there. 9, this might be a shocker. I'll go SMU. I'll go SMU there. Just because
I like SMU.
they haven't really
Wow.
played anybody and they play in the weakest conference, in my opinion.
Too low.
8. Who's your daddy?
Nice.
I
Too
just yeah.
Shut up, Alex. Let the
But
man
I
get through his numbers.
Well, but 7's Ohio State. They dropped 5 spots, and
Too low.
on principle, I can't rank Indiana ahead of Ohio State just because they play games for a reason.
Right.
Not
Tennessee
college basketball.
6.
No, too low.
Alex, what are you doing?
All right,
Cody,
buddy.
ignore him. He's being unprofessional.
All right, buddy. 5. A little bit of a shocker. Penn State. I don't like what I've seen on
Powered by
paper. They
Riverside
lost their
FM.
biggest game at home, and they looked kind of poopy at Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That one is too low for me.
No, I like that one right there.
We know you guys do.
You know me.
4. There's gonna be a shocker in here. 4. I'm gonna go Georgia just because they have the 2 losses. They went to 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech. I do think that's a good Georgia Tech team, but at the end of the day, they're one of middling teams in the ACC, which, as we know, is a weak conference this year. 3. I've got my Irish hat on. Notre Dame. I'll come out and admit it. I do think Notre Dame is probably closer to Indiana than they are Oregon. They don't have any skill guys.
Sounds like personal bias.
But they're physical. Jeremiah Love, I think, is one of the best backs in college football, aside from Ashton Genty, obviously. I'm not really sold on Leonard either, but they're playing good football. They have a great secondary. They look good at USC in a rivalry game, so can't fault them. They technically have they have a lot of good ranked wins too. The teams were ranked at the time. It's not their fault that they fell out. 2, Texas. They probably had the best win this week on the road at A&M. And then number 1, I think no regrets, Oregon. I do kind of feel bad for Dylan Gabriel, though, this year. I was thinking about it. Because any other year, he probably wins the Heisman, you have to think, because he's on number 1 Oregon. He's the quarterback of that team. And Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty are, unfortunately, the 2 best players in college football this year. So,
Yeah.
Sucks for him, but he is like 25, so I don't really feel that
Who is
bad.
2?
Also fair.
Texas.
I like your top 10.
Can I get my
Thank you.
updated top 10?
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, my updated top 4.
Sure.
Oregon,
Too low.
number 1. Georgia, 2. Because Cody, like you said, you play games for a reason.
They did beat Texas,
3.
I'll give you that, but I think Texas might get their revenge this week.
Penn State, 4. Oh, but Ohio
3
State and Penn
Texas.
State, they play the games for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk yourself into any tangled web
But
at a
Penn
certain
State
point.
wouldn't lose to Michigan.
Once you get 2 losses, like in Georgia had, well, their Bama loss isn't that bad.
Well, Georgia also lost on the road at Ole Miss, and it wasn't close, and I don't think
Yeah.
Texas loses on the road in the SIP.
I like the way you
Not
said
to talk
sip.
hypotheticals.
All right.
Can I say one other thing?
Oh, sorry.
Riley Leonard, a couple season-long bets that came to fruition. Well, I ended up. Actually, it was a good moment because I got home. I was like, "Damn it! Why did I do $50 on Spartans money line? That was so stupid." I know we did the bet or the deal, like the trade, which I had to do for the bet essentially. So I did that, and I was like, "Damn it!" So I go to FanDuel. I was like, "Wow, my account is way higher than I thought." I was like, "Oh, my season-long bets are coming to fruition." Unfortunately, I don't think my UCLA one hit. Did they beat Fresno, right? Or did they lose to Fresno?
Yeah, they won.
Okay,
Didn't
so that
cover,
would
but they
have
won.
been even better because I needed them to lose for their season long. But I got 2 easy ones. Riley Leonard before the year, his over-under was 2,525 passing yards. He barely cracked 2,000. That was just one of the easiest like cash bets of all time. And then this one, this is when you thanked your lucky stars. I had Cincinnati under 5.5 wins. They recorded their 5th win on October 19th. They proceeded to lose their last 5 games and stay under to Colorado, West Virginia, Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU. So thank you, Cincinnati, because I was like,
It's
I
a
cannot.
tough
I wrote that
back
off
half.
as a loser in October, and that somehow cashed.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Welcome to the Big 12, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Now,
Powered by River.
I hate that. Now we go to the game. Michigan football beats Ohio State 13-10.
In the worst football game.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody, Cody. Some people.
Nobody.
So the running bit on our show for probably the last 6 months, year is about the word unbelievable and how I used to say it too much.
Okay, here
And
we
Alex
go.
would always say, come on, it's actually. I thought about this. What transpired Saturday in Columbus is truly an
Do you
unbelievable.
know what unbelievable means?
Yes, you can't believe it.
No.
And I couldn't. Yes.
He's not wrong.
No.
He's not wrong.
No.
Well, what does it mean?
Well, I mean, because someone will comment.
Not able to be
Well,
believed,
ask me.
unlikely to be true. This is an unbelievable thing that happened in Columbus. It really is.
How Matthew McConaughey describes it in his book, and how he doesn't want you to, how you shouldn't say it, is like it's something that can't happen, won't happen, never will happen. This always could have happened. In fact, some people predicted it to happen.
Desmond and Charles Woodson publicly, and no one else I think I'd ever seen.
Charles Woodson said on the radio earlier in the week that the Michigan guys were going to be ready and they were playing with house money and that they're going to have a game plan and that they're going to win. And he truly believed it. So it's not unbelievable. It's, in fact, highly unlikely and improbable. Unbelievable.
I save your semantics. It's an unbelievable thing that happened in Ohio State. Especially, too, so we all, KFM's house, beautiful.
Kiss FM.
Great time. Imagine this, too. This is really what I was thinking about how this went down as I rewatched it and was thinking about the moments. Imagine I sit down in that living room 15 minutes before kickoff. I look at Alex, and Alex goes, hey, some of the script of the game just leaked. You won't believe this, but Davis Warren throws a pick. He's on his own 5 and throws it right to Caleb Downs, so they get the ball at the 10 going in. And I was like, well, damn, that sucks. And then Wilkins across the way goes, I also saw this. Towards the end of the game, they're going to get down to the 3-yard line on 1st and goal, and he's going to throw a pick to Jack Sawyer. I'm like, oh, we lost by 40 points. That's cool. Awesome. I believe that he threw those picks because that's what we've had all year. But, like, there's no chance we won the game, though, right? And then you guys both sit down and look at me, no, Grant. The final score leaked. It's 13-10. Michigan won. That is unbelievable. If you told me those things going into this football game as 21 whatever underdogs, whatever it got to, 3 touchdowns, that they won this game after the $20 million roster, after Chip Kelly, after going to get the quarterback, after money on the rise, after getting Judkins to go Henderson. All I had to do was hear about all year, oh, this is the best running back duo in the entire country. They're kind of changing their way. They're going to be big, bad bullies. I mean, unbelievable set of circumstances, and Michigan still won. So that's where I had to start this game. And yeah, any thoughts from you, Wilkins, on top of that, please?
Even more unbelievable, I box score watched at next day. I was like, this is like, how did they do this? Look at the receiving stats for Michigan. Yeah. The leading receiver was Peyton O'Leary with that like toe drag falling
Julian Edelman-esque, people are saying.
With 1 catch for 18 yards. The next names on here were Tyler Morris, Marlon Klein, Hogan Hansen, Frederick Moore, and then the Don. Is it. I don't know most of those names. I know probably most Michigan fans do. That is crazy. They just kept throwing out tight ends, and Ohio State couldn't cover them. It didn't matter. They would just run Khalil Mullies on their throw.
They only gave up 66 yards passing or something.
But when it was like
they covered
3rd and 7, 3rd and 5, Michigan needed it. Davis Warren delivered, and he had a QBR. He had a QBR of 35.9. He threw the worst pass I've ever seen in my life to Jack Sawyer. God.
So bad.
The worst pass I've ever seen in my life. And Ohio State just could not do anything with it. Unbelievable. That's the only way you can describe it. Ryan Day continues to think that he has to out-tough Michigan. He wants to prove to everybody he wants to out-tough them. Where's Lou Holtz? Where are you in this game? It is
Where's
absurd.
Evan Camas? Where is Evan Camas?
Where's Will Howard?
I don't know why you even have Jeremiah Smith if you refuse
to
throw
the
ball and Emeka Egbuka.
This game?
The game was not his fault. The play calling was the problem for Ohio State.
It was crazy,
Alex.
They ran outside zone jet sweep like 58 times for negative.
He threw 2 of the worst picks I've ever seen in a football game.
So did Michigan, though. They could have still won the game with decent play calling.
Will Howard was supposed to be a guy they handpicked to come change the Kyle McCord.
And they picked Will Howard.
Will Howard's not
guys
special,
like Cam Ward.
I tried saying that at the start of the year. He's Kansas State's backup. They did not want him at Kansas State.
They could have had Cam
Kansas
Ward.
State's special, but
you're telling me Cam Ward wanted to go to Miami over Ohio State?
Yeah, I can see why you would want to go there. Yeah.
This was a referendum on Will Howard all year long. He kind of skated by. He a million times in the Penn State game and got away with it. He actually played solid from what I saw in the highlights in the Oregon game. He played atrocious in this game.
Yeah, but they also didn't run the ball well. They didn't have good passing concepts. They looked like shit on offense the whole game. It wasn't just him.
The only strength that Michigan had coming in was their D-line, and they just chose to run right into it. That's all they had. They were down their 2 best players in the game. 2 first-round draft picks.
Yes, again, and unbelievable. When we knew Will Johnson, we knew his season was done. We thought maybe Loveland plays. He's a game breaker, doesn't play. Again, unbelievable they win that. I think the thing, I forgot what game we talked about. I don't know if it was Indiana or if it was something else. We talked about how when Michigan beat Ohio State in 2022, they had to do something they hadn't done all year, which was hit the deep balls, hit the big plays, but they had the talent to actually do that. And that's what was stunning about this win in Columbus, is that Michigan did not do anything in this game different than who they were all year. It's not like they rose to a new level where Davis Warren hit somebody on a deep ball. Like Samaj Morgan didn't do anything he hasn't done all year, did nothing. And it still was enough to beat what was supposed to be like Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel before the season saying this is the best, most talent I've ever seen in an Ohio State locker room. They got Caleb Downs, who's an unbelievable player as well in his own right, to come from Ohio State and made massive plays, and they still couldn't win. Sometimes I have a lot to say, but it also puts me in a loss of words when I get going because I just still can't believe they won the game.
They pissed their pants.
Players too, though. Like coaching, yes. Players as well.
Coaching is above 60% of the problem.
I agree, but there's also part of it that's the players as well.
30-yard field goals. The O-line did not play great.
Carnell Tate dropped the ball in his breadbasket late in the game on that third down or second down. He was running over the middle. A great play actually by Will Howard. Puts it on his hands. He just drops it. It's like, well, I mean, I don't know what else you can do. So to talk about the winners quick, I mean, it's more about what Ohio State didn't do. But the one thing you can say is Michigan's defensive line absolutely wrecked whatever plans OSU had in both passing a lot of the game and rushing more prominently. Like they couldn't really run much in the tackles. Graham, Grant, Benny, TJ Guy played great. The defensive ends, Moore and Stewart. But also under the radar, I mean, Barham made some plays rushing the passer, but Ernest Hausman, 15, I was watching back, he played a crazy good game. Like fly, I don't know if it was the white cleats. I don't know what it was. Looked faster than he has all year, flying sideline to sideline on some of those plays. So he did awesome. And then obviously, other defensively, Amir Hall with the big pick. Makari Page played awesome. He got benched earlier this year for his lack of good play. He had a pick and he laid a huge hit on Will Howard early in that game. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the O-line and Mullins, they did like just enough. Like obviously they're not the offensive lines of years past, but the big guy, the circle on offense that I will probably miss the most from this team is Max Bredesen, 44. Just bringing the boom, Costco guy style on every single player, almost every play, and he's just the best way to tell where the ball is going to go is you just watch him lay a nasty block. And then, last one, Zavada. Great job, obviously. Made a 50-something yarder. Crazy he's not nominated for the Lou Groza Award. I don't really care, but I would like a guy who hasn't missed a 50-yarder all year to get some props. He's made 9 of them, and he's probably half our offense the entire year. So shout out to him for just being absolutely nails.
I think the other winner, Sharon, though, too, you got to think, because obviously he won them the Penn State game and Ohio State game last year, but it was still kind of Jim's team, and you knew who was running the show there. So for him to go in and be the first head coach since Lloyd Carr to win that game in Columbus in his first game was pretty absurd. And the other thing is too, as mid as Michigan was this year, going into the end of the year, he gets Bryce Underwood, lands Bryce Underwood with the help of NIL. Obviously, you guys talked at length. But 2, he beats Ohio State in a mid-year, and you feel completely different about the team and where the program's headed. If I was thinking about it, if Jonathan Smith beats Michigan this year, I feel completely different about where he's going because he won the rivalry game, and that's ultimately kind of what matters. If you're not good, beat your rivals. And Sharon did that this year. They're going to go to probably the Music City Bowl or something, I'd imagine, and most of the fan base won't really care about that game, but you feel pretty good because for another 365 days, you get to say you beat Ohio State. So,
yeah, if we played DJ Lagway, we're getting smacked. Yeah. But again, you went from dumpster 2-3 weeks ago. We're talking about do you even keep Sharon? I said on here, I was like, if they got rid of him, I'm not. It's aggressive. I don't think it will happen, but I'm also not going to lose sleep over it because it was so incredibly bad. We talked about all the coaching blunders, and then in the span of 2 to 3 weeks, you land the number 1 recruit and you beat Ohio State, and you probably just turned in the most fun, best 7-5 season of all time. I can't think of a more fun 7-5 season I've ever watched. So just nuts what less than a month on a calendar can do. And I also can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine the other side. And it does suck what Ohio State's going through, but we also lived this as Michigan fans for a while when it came to Harbaugh can never win the big game, and they're just in that right now. We're they don't know if they should fire him.
This is different though.
Is it?
Yeah, this is different because Michigan in those years was never expected to win. I mean, they were always underdogs. Maybe they were favorites once.
Our fan base expected.
Sure, them to win, you wanted them to win, but at the end of the day, you knew that we probably won't. We're not better than them. This was just straight up a team way better than the other team. I don't think anyone's going to deny that. On paper, throughout the season, Ohio State is a much better football team than Michigan. This is a good reminder that 18 to 22-year-olds facing off against other 18 to 22-year-olds can and lose any college football game. That's like the main difference between pro and amateur sports, because amateurs that are that good can fall into a trap and lose. I mean, yeah, it's pretty remarkable. It's this, for me, this is more like, it's not fair to say this probably because Michigan fans would go, oh, well, we really deserved it. But at the end of the day, Michigan scored 13 points. They didn't look great on offense at all. They made like 3 miracle plays that got enough. They made a few field goals. They threw two picks, a pick in the red zone. And it felt like it was more Ohio State's terrible play calling, terrible play execution, Will Howard playing like shit. Like that was the issue more than anything Michigan did. So like for Michigan fans to be like, oh, well, Sharon, what a coaching performance, all that. I could see why you'd say that. And if I was a Michigan fan, I'd be like, oh yeah, we're incredible. We're great. Like now we have it all figured out. Sharon's the best coach ever. But if you really look at this is just a catastrophic failure by Ohio State and almost nothing else. Like there's no reason they should have lost the game. None. Even with how bad they played, they still should have won.
Yeah.
Is that the worst loss since the O'Connor MSU game? Or would you say one of the most recent Michigan game? Yeah.
Probably worse though, because like your team was
actually worse because it's a bigger rival too. And like, obviously with the roster, like it's a similar vibe. It was the most talented roster in college football this year, and they haven't looked like it at any point.
It was a similar vibe because Urban said that was the most talented team they ever had, and they lost to Tyler O'Connor. But at the same time, we had a top 10 defense, so we were not.
Yeah,
we're not a joke.
And it's not good. It's not like running because we had our secondary in that game. They didn't have like if Michigan has Will Johnson in this game, it looks different.
Like we ran it down their throat that game. Michigan didn't do that in this game. Like Michigan
kind of did it. They did when it mattered.
Yeah, they made like a couple plays when it mattered.
Yeah.
And that was it. They were not spectacular by any means.
No, you can't. The 2 points that I thought of during that, one's definitely though, like the credit to Sharon, like the in-game stuff was fine. There was no like big blunders. Like he did clean up. What I liked a lot is they did do a good job of chewing clock and really shortening this game. Whereas in past games, I ffeel like maybe the Minnesota game or something, they were still snapping the ball with like 15 seconds left on the clock. This, at least they knew when to milk it. I thought they handled things well. They didn't have any mess ups like Ohio State with the 12 men on the field and everything. But the only thing I can speak to is where like this is normally I think this stuff is overblown. I think it's more like that game in a nutshell. But when you lose this type of game, it opens the door for me to start thinking about like mindset and even strength and conditioning and toughness and everything that goes in that people talk about. I knew with Ben Herbert, Michigan team, like how psycho he is and what he's doing with the Chargers. I knew that did have an impact, but it's making me think like the mindset they take into the horseshoe now that they've won. It's not this big bag bully that Ohio State is anymore. They're largely like fake tough posers from the last 4 years. Like they kind of tough. Even in the pregame, you saw they were lining up as Michigan ran the tunnel, and like Jack Sawyer is barking at them with his helmet off, like a big tough guy, but like there's a bunch of cops in the way. So it's like that's what they are. You can tell now Michigan's not scared. And as the game got on, when you get into the fourth quarter, that's when they kind of strung together 2 pretty impressive drives. The one with Warren that he threw the pick, I mean, they went down the field quite a ways, I believe, and he had multiple third down or like catches in there with the O'Leary play. And then the last one, like that's just run. And Mullins is just tougher than their guys breaking tackles and runs it down to ice that thing. So there's something where as the game goes on, like I don't know if it's Joel Klatt or someone looked up a stat. It's like Michigan has like 400 yards combined the last 4 years in the fourth quarter, and Ohio State has like less than 100 or something. And in this game, I think Ohio State had 3 offensive plays in the fourth quarter. It's just nuts. Like as it's gone on the last 4 years, it's the same script almost every time where Michigan's like icing out the game, and then Ohio State has like a last ditch chance to try to do something, but by then it's too late. At least in the last 2 years, it's just
they puckered. It certainly got to the second half. It was still close, and then all those guys that have lost 3 in a row were like, "Shit!" And then you're overanalyzing, and you're overreacting to every play, and you start making mistakes, and then boom, you lose. I mean, they're kids. This is what happens.
Last couple years, it was kind of the defense that let them down, and this year it was really the offense. Like, I mean, 13 points out of Michigan, and you're Ohio State. Like, you can't score more than that. Like that. that was just, I don't know. It was a recipe of how you let a really bad team upset you at home, and they made every play to make that happen.
Teams with continuity like Ohio State has, like a bunch of guys came back to beat Michigan. Like that was their goal.
Oh my God, that's the funniest part. Because Michigan did the same thing the year before, but not to beat Ohio State, but to win the title, and it actually worked. And they just kind of ran the same NIL play back and gave them all bags. And there was like, they showed it on the broadcast watching it back. It was like the 0-3 club, and it was like 9 guys.
Yeah, the class of 2021. It was like all 5 stars.
It's just nuts.
Teams with continuity that lose in a bad way to like a game they really want. Like you think about the 49ers, they just keep getting the Super Bowl, losing. Packers, anytime they face the 49ers in the playoffs, no, they're going to lose. Like people, like teams start, like when the Lions get back to the NFC Championship game, it'd be crazy to think the Lions are not going to start panicking if they have a big lead and like blow. Like I can totally see that happening because people just don't forget that type of stuff. Shapes who you are in games, and then they fall apart. And then that's what Ohio State did 4 times in a row.
It's just so weird. I
don't know how you break that trend until you have new people.
It was crazy too because it was like a lot of transfers. So they haven't
for 7 years.
They didn't even play in those games. So you think like Will Howard could think like a goldfish, or like you could see how much it meant to guys like Josh Downs. But it's all these transfers who haven't even played in the rivalry game, and they still like puckered at every moment. And it seemed like it comes from coaching down. Like you saw Sharon like had swag on the sidelines, and it felt like the team kind of embodied that. And Ryan Day looked scared every time they put a camera on him.
He's a tough visual. When you see his face, it does not instill any sort of confidence.
No. Pressure breaks people. The pressure was way higher for Ohio State than anybody on Michigan.
What is, to Cody's point, what is Chip Kelly doing? He's a hired mercenary that came in. He's got no
coach in the NFL.
Like what is he doing in this game?
They spent 13 weeks in the whole offseason, everyone talking about it, and then it gets ingrained in you and the same culture that's built. That's why culture is the most important thing in any program, football, basketball, or anything else. You have to have teams that believe.
He did
these people did not.
It was so obvious when they beat Notre Dame and he did the Lou Holtz bit that he was very insecure about the perceived toughness of his team, and he cared about it way too much. And I saw a tweet that said like Jim Harbaugh did the ultimate like brain break of Ryan Day, which Jim Harbaugh himself had to overcome. Eventually he just doubled down and got better talent and coaches, but it reminded me, I think I may have said it, like it reminded me of even the 2017 Michigan State game, or some of those, even ones that Michigan, like in 2018 when Michigan won the game. It's like we still went into the Michigan State game and Jim thought I had to show how tough I am and run a gap when that's all Michigan State is good at stopping, really, and not use DPJ and not use Nico Collins and not use Chris Evans on the outside. When you have better athletes in space than Michigan State, Ohio State's like now just running that play back on Michigan, where they have the best offensive skill player in the entire country in Jeremiah Smith, and there's not a amount of targets, deep shots enough. They threw what? Every single deep shot they took of him was either a pass interference or a touchdown. He shoved one of our defensive backs to the ground because he's so strong, which is fine, no call. He just bullied him and they scored, and they could have targeted him 25 times and that would not have been enough. And they just thought in their head, like, when we get to the red zone, we got to be tough and we got to run with Trevion Henderson and Judkins. It's like, dude, that the only strength of our defense is we have like 2 first-round defensive linemen up the middle.
Ohio State's biggest weakness. Their biggest weakness is how injured their O-line is. And they didn't. It's not even like that's not even the position group that they brought in all these transfers and spent all the NIL money on. It's like if you want to be a big tough guy, spend all this money on the line and beef it up. I know they brought in the Alabama center, but it seems like all the money was spent elsewhere. It's just
they got injured. They're injured.
But no adapting. Like they just didn't. And again, you saw when they scored, there was a 2-minute drill before the half. They aired it out. And then in the first drive of the game, they were airing it out. And then they get to the red zone and they're like, oh, we're going to run it and be tough. It's like, what are you doing?
Butt puckers.
Sometimes those stats of like whoever wins the rushing battle has won the game the last 25 years, like
it creeps into
people.
His head.
It's like you don't have to be someone different. Like because they went the whole CJ Stroud way, and those you can't compare the last 3 Michigan teams to this one whatsoever. Those last 3 Michigan teams, like last year, they were national championship good. Yeah, like they might be able to bully you, etc. But like this team, you don't have to go out and win the rushing battle. Just like throw screen passes to Trevion Henderson and Jeremiah Smith, and we're not going to be able to tackle you the whole game. It's
all the time we have. Thanks for coming.
It's crazy. The one other sweet thing too about this is like the
sweet thing.
Sweet. It's a very sweet
for
thing.
For others, you know. We have a
No,
friend,
and
close
it's-
personal friend.
Well, I saw their some of their brains were still broken. I've listened to a sick amount of Ohio State shows the last 3 days. I googled what they all were. The big Ohio State podcast called The Podcast, all caps on the. They pump out a lot of stuff. There was one called Buckeye Scoop, and they were talking about the Stallion stuff still, and it was pretty viral going around, getting made fun of on Michigan Twitter. And it was like one of their hosts. There was like 5 guys on the Zoom call like this, and they were all just silent, letting him go on this soliloquy. And he was basically like, well, we know Michigan, everyone thinks they cheated and they did get like some in trouble. So let's just say 2021 and 2022, throw those losses out because Stallions was there. 2023, I guess, like he was gone, so we'll count that. But that was a national championship team. So really, Ryan Day only has one bad loss to Michigan. Is it enough to fire him? And it's like these people's brains are so broken. But for me as a Michigan fan, last year was enough because Stallions got fired. Obviously, he's not there on the sideline doing his thing, whatever it was. This, like, that guy's coaching Belleville, coaching Mumford. The cheating excuses have to be thrown out of the window now forever. To me, they already were dead and buried last year. That's why that game meant so much to me. This is just like cherry on top, where there's so many people's brains in that state broken by the fact that the only way they could conceivably lose to Michigan is if they cheated and broke all these rules. Like, no, maybe just look inward at your coach and how he wants to be fake tough the whole time and figure out from there. I just, that part really did feel good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Should we do any like big picture Ohio State? I know we're a Michigan show, but I think like that's the hot topic is like, where do you go with Ryan Day?
I was thinking about it. It honestly seems like why it's not that far off base to think like Hartline could be the guy. Obviously, we don't know what that looks like X's and O's wise, but it feels like they play with more swagger going into that game under Hartline, just based on the type of guy he is and the receiver room that he generates.
Gotta get better than Brian Hartline.
But knowing Ohio State, I think they have to go for a bigger name than that. But
Vrabel.
it feels like Vrabel, but I don't know if Vrabel takes that job because college is so much. If he's going to get NFL buzz, I wouldn't be shocked if Freeman gets buzz for that job from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Whether he takes that or not, I don't know. But he did. He
buzz.
I think he was a grad assistant there. The only other thing I can think of is to go backwards and you hire Urban, but I don't know if Urban takes that at this point. But other than that, I don't know if there's like, who are the other names? Like Lane Kiffin, some of these other SEC schools, but I don't think that's the answer either. Kirby won't take it.
I got one that would be spicy. They could probably do it because they are the Ohio State. And let's call a spade a spade. Dan Lanning. If they threw a bag at him, I mean, that's a better football job. That's just, I'm not trying to be mean to Oregon. They have a really great, they're number 1 in the country, but Ohio State is top. You could make a legit argument it's the best job in college football. You could if you wanted to. It's like LSU level where they get every resource. You have a fertile recruiting ground and you own that state. Like you have everything you need. Like it's one of the most football crazed states. There's no academic restrictions with transfers that you run into at some schools. Michigan being one of those. It's like everything's there for you. They just spent $20 million on a roster. They'll give you whatever you want. So they could. Vrabel would scare the shit out of me. I would not like that. He's a badass. That team would be tough. To the point that I'm going to tell myself was like the NFL thing. That's what I hope is that he just wants to be NFL. And I do think it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. Rabbit voice there. But for the timelines, because a lot of hiring is timelines. Depending on if they were to fire Day, how they do, does that wrap up before some of these, like the Bears job's already open, right? So these NFL jobs come open earlier. Like the Jags job should be open anytime. When are they going to do that? The Jets job's open. The Saints job is open. So like the NFL moves faster. If we have to wait till the playoff, like depending on how far Ohio State go, it could actually hurt them in terms of firing their coach and moving on. So that's going to be interesting because if they're able, like if I'm him and I see an NFL job I like, I'm probably not waiting for Ohio State unless they're already setting it up.
The issue is though, all these NFL teams are going to want to interview both lines coordinators because they're probably 2 of the top 4 guys, I think, in this cycle, and they can't until the playoff run. So that holds up NFL jobs until January. So let's say like Ohio State doesn't win the Natty. If they fire Day, it's probably done before January 1st or middle of January. That hire is going to happen fast. There's no way that takes Ohio State that long because I think it sets everything else back. There's uncertainty with like guys like Jeremiah Smith, who, like, let's face it, he would get huge offers in the portal right now from teams like Florida and
but why would you
programs that need a
want
receiver?
to leave Ohio State?
If you like the coach that recruited you, I guess.
And
If you're not cool with the direction of like what
I
they're
think
going,
most of Ohio
money.
State has nothing to do with their coach, because Ryan Day is like not a super likable dude by any means.
I think his players like him.
Heartline, people love Heartline.
But-
My point would just be like, yeah, to Cody's point, if you think your program's kind of going dumpster fire and you don't have answers, like why would you not take a $10 million bag to go play for Georgia or something?
They're losing so much on that defense too. Who knows? Obviously, it's Ohio State. They can probably bring in a lot of guys in the portal. I don't know what their recruiting class looks like, but you got to think whoever comes in, if it's a guy like Vrabel, he might clean house. Like he probably doesn't want Chip Kelly there. He might not want a guy
Kelly's not there.
He doesn't want a guy maybe like Hartline. I don't know. I don't want to get in the nitty gritty.
I think
Hartline
Hartline is
positional
staying
coach,
no
but
matter who comes.
But at that point, does Hartline think if he's not elevated to OC or something, Hartline might leave for an OC job because he probably doesn't want to be the wide receivers coach at Ohio State forever. So there's just so much uncertainty, and it doesn't feel like there's a way forward with Day. And even if he does win the national championship, so much of that fan base is addicted to that Michigan game and winning that Michigan game.
Yeah.
That's all they think about all year. If he can't win that game, it doesn't matter if he's winning national championships or not if they lose to Michigan every year. So there's legitimately no way forward from the fan base, from the boosters, and it feels like from the athletic program at this point.
I think you made a point about it would go fast. I agree with you. In your Ohio State, you're not firing Ryan Day unless you have the guy already lined up, like your whole 24-hour thing. Like they aren't going to get rid of a coach that's been that successful unless they have a like on paper verbal yes that like I am coming to coach your program. They're not like, yes, they're probably sick of him in some aspects, but they're not just going to go back to like question marks. Like they're going to have a surefire thing coming in there if they're firing that guy. Because besides a few games, this being the biggest one, obviously, like his other losses were to Michigan, but then also Georgia, Alabama. Like those are national championship caliber teams you've lost to. This is the one really where it gets kind of kooky for them. They're not going to just go back to uncertainty with who their head coach is.
Yeah,
it's crazy though. They just feel so broken, and it's wild to think. But also, I have to recognize I have to be true to myself. If I'm ranking the last 4 wins, this is the last one, just because I crave what's next. Like the juice is still there with this game, but like, yeah, the whole format of changing everything does take away some of the do or die. Like the last 3 years before this were so edge of your seat because you're still playing for the Big Ten championship. You're still playing for a theoretical national championship. Playing spoiler is fun, but I can confidently say this now because this is the first time I've ever played spoiler on this game. We just got dummied by this team my entire childhood. The whole point about like you just have to beat Ohio State or Michigan, that's just not true in my brain. If Sharon Moore went like 8-4, 7-5 the next 5 years, but kept being Ohio State, I would get tired of it after a while. Like I do need more. Yeah. I need to play. I like to go see what my team looks like against Alabama, looks like against Georgia, looks like against Texas. So there has to be more out there. But this was awesome. This was a great 7-5 year. Don't get me wrong, because it was definitely dark earlier this year.
Yeah, in a down year, losing what Michigan lost to still win that game, it's crazy.
Anything on flag planting, I guess? No, it's still part of it. I was talking to someone in the Michigan chat. I think I told Ben. I was like, it's so hard, these arguments with like fights and skirmishes and scuffles, because like they're the almost hardest arguments to do with people because it's so subjective. It's not like X's and O's or football. It's just like footage of people going at it. And then like you're so like, I admit I'm so biased to my team. Like I was like, saying Ohio State's soft, calling them mean names, saying they shouldn't have been pepper spraying, like whatever. And then you like calm down, you see more. It's like, yeah, my stance would be, I think it's kind of like to play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like fine, go do the flag. I don't think planting a flag is classless by any means. I just think like if you come get people to try to punch you in the face, like that's what you signed up for when you try to plant a flag in someone's field.
Yes, and I'd like to say there's been one common denominator in all these Big Ten scuffles. So I think people should remember that. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, you could say it's Michigan. That's a part too that I would like our fan base to embrace. Like we are
just admit it. Like, yes, you guys are always involved in these things for whatever reason. You can blame the other teams all you want, but you guys are always in the middle of these things.
Yeah. And we have to remember to step back. Like there was a bunch of fights across the country on Saturday.
That helped your case significantly.
I don't think Michigan has been in one like the Mississippi State bowl game brawl that I watched one time somewhere that there were just like crazy melees. Like there are levels to it. Like there are the Kansas State basketball game. Like there's levels of brawls, but yeah, Michigan's in a lot of them. Michigan is a villain of college football. They talk a lot of shit. They have a huge target on their back. Their fan base is cocky. Like I want. At no point should a Michigan fan ever be playing victim in these. They're exciting. They're fun. Like, embrace it. You're a villain. Like, people hate you. We hate other people. That's a rivalry. And two, it's like the media and everyone talks about these games like they're wars. So, like, are you gonna be surprised when people start throwing punches at each other or pushing each other over playing a flag on a field? Like, if you're gonna call it war and it's like life or death, like that's just what happens in these games. They're 20-year-old kids.
I just think we got to stop planting fields and turf fields. It's cooler when you actually plant it in grass. I understand it's still the act of like throwing the flag at your team's field, but when it just bounces and falls on the ground, it looks so stupid.
It does.
But like, I also can't fault guys like Jack Sawyer because I mean, I've had some sports moments where I've been so pissed in the moment, and you played all those years, never beat Michigan, and then like the competitive juices are flowing for him to like want to fight Michigan guys and rip the flag away. I don't fault him for that.
See
but
how
also,
would want to do that.
Also, I don't understand how you're a 5-star and you're on Ohio State and you can't even knock over the equipment manager. That clip of like all those Ohio State guys not being able to knock him over was embarrassing. But I don't know. They're like, win the game if you have a problem with it. I just think there were so many of those rivalry games where it happened, and I think Sark stopped Texas from doing it, which Texas already did it at Michigan this year. So, and there wasn't ever any fights, but none of those games are the games. So I see
the Texas one was kind of cool. I remember that, to your turf point. He just bounced that thing off the turf at the big house. I was like, that's kind of, it was a massive ridiculous Texas flag. It was
I remember when Baker was at Oklahoma, they did it. Didn't Baker
at Ohio State?
Yeah, at Ohio State.
He waved that thing
and
around.
It just bounced right off the ground. That looks so dumb.
Part of me thinks like when you win a big game, you should win and celebrate with your team, the team you went through it with all, and like celebrate with them, enjoy yourself. Like I get like why people showboat and want to be cocky and like go plant a flag. But as you said, if you're going to go do that, like you should 1000% expect someone to come punch you in the mouth, because that would piss me off. That'd piss anybody off. Like you already lost the game, and then someone's going to rub it in your face even more. That's why like people have said your whole life when you're growing up to like win with class, shake the other team's hands, yada, yada. It's always been said to us. So then when someone doesn't do that, even in a game this magnitude, this much rivalry, this much hate, yeah, of course people are going to be mad. And of course people are going to fight. It's just very obvious. Yeah.
I mean, in a game like this, I think it's all fan love and war, for lack of a better term.
It was awesome TV.
But if you're a Michigan person and saying Ohio State is a bunch of losers fighting back, then I fully disagree with you, because you're asking them to want to be more pissed off than they already are. Like, of course they're going to fight back.
I mean, I think like I understand freaking out. I personally think Jack Sawyer is a little bit of a loser. Just like the clips are tough to look at. I think it's just who you are. Like my like wires would cross, like when you call it when you just lose your mind. My wires would cross like in the heat of a game. I'd be more likely. Whenever I lost, I thought about, that's tough loss for Tecumseh Little League when we were 10 years old against Adrian. Lost first game, worked all the way back, double elimination, beat them one shot. Evan Eldred hit 2 bombs in a game through like a no-hitter, basically complete game. Go to the final, you'll lose to Adrian. When I lost, I was like despondent, tears. Like I was not like scream at the other team, pissed off. But again, as I got older, maybe I would have. But like when my wires cross, it's normally like in the heat of it, not like after it. So I thought the clips of him were funny, but I totally get you guys. Credit to them, actually. They're growing more of a backbone. In 2022, we planted the flag and they didn't do shit about it. So I guess they're doing a little bit better.
You're basically asking, you're telling the other team that we're going to win, and we're not going to do it with class, and we're going to showboat and do everything else. And you have to lose, and you have to lose with class on top of it. Like that's a double standard.
It's the takeover.
If you're going to win with class,
it's better than take over your trap.
Take over your trap.
If you're going to win with
we own
class,
the shoe, baby.
You have to lose with class. If you're going to win being a piece of shit, then the losers are going to be a piece of shit. That's how it should work.
It's also, I'll come back to your point, Cody, but it's also on that. It's a toughness thing too, where I think it's like when you at a bar and you size up the guy you might be in a fight with. Like, you think Michigan gives a shit if a Jack Sawyer comes at them? Like, they just kicked his ass for 4 quarters, so they don't really care. Like, they'll scrap.
Yeah.
Like, we're ready to scrap. Like, if they were scared of Ohio State anymore, they wouldn't be doing that shit. But they're like, we all got pads on, whatever. Sorry, what were you going to say, Cody?
Last thing on it, credit to Fox for that cut to Ryan Day when he just said, what happened? You saw it on TV. Probably why like college football could still be king sometimes, even in all the realignment. The fact that Ohio State loses that game to their biggest rival, all the thoughts going through Ryan Day's head, and he has to go over to the sideline and sing the alma mater to the crowd when they just lost. So he doesn't see any of it that happens. And then they pan to him. Like, he's worried about if he's going to get death threats, like where his family is, what he's going to do for a job. And he has to sing the alma mater, and he turns around to his team in a brawl with pepper spray. It's just college football is king sometimes. In that
their players were running out of the alma mater to go join the scuffle. It was like, this is surreal. The whole thing is surreal. Also, I think this is my last aspect of that game. We don't have to go too long, but I was listening back to it. I wouldn't have said this again, 2022, how fast things change. The down calls, I thought it was fine. I kind of over Gus Johnson when it comes to especially this game. I think this year, we've talked about that multiple times. Some of the voice cracks and like just losing his mind, like rightfully so on some, but it almost feels like he's like a cartoon character of an announcer at this point. Yeah. And
the cheating comment.
Yeah, like we didn't cheat this time. Like, all right, unnecessary, Gus. Like, whatever. You're an unbiased commentator, and you even like Michigan, so I don't understand what that means. And then lastly was like he acting like people were getting shot in the chest during the scuffle with the flags. Like, dude, they're just going chest to chest.
And then I know the Jack Sawyer interception was like a huge play, but he did like the McDonough with the trouble with the snap, like the screaming. But that was pure shock for McDonough. I don't know why he did that at that moment when the game was tied at that point, right? And Jack Sawyer picks it up. It's not like he pick sixed it. He got tackled at like the 10.
When he did his name, and it was like, Jack Sawyer!
That's crazy.
He also completely botched the Makari Page pick listening back. He goes, and he almost had a pick. Oh, he did pick it. It's like, did you just not see it went right in his chest, Gus? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That he's a different announcing.
We're stuck with that game. I think.
They are stuck with that game probably for the next 10 years until something changes.
Yeah. Have your thoughts. Spartan Dogs. We're going Lions.
We can go Michigan State quick. I guess, so the season's wrapped up. 5-7, didn't cash my bet. Thanks a lot for nothing. I saw on the did we get beat that bad? It was like a 50-50 game. I don't understand how the score got that lopsided. I kind of tuned out of this game. I know, well, I'm going to say we because I bet on them heavily. We're up 7-0 early. I don't know if we really need to dive into the Rutgers game in the season recap, but it's more just like any lingering takeaways, meaningful takeaways you have from year one of Jonathan Smith, and then take the takeaways, and then we'll move into the next question of like what your main thing you're looking for this offseason. So to separate the two.
We said in the beginning of the year that the concern would be depth and offensive line. Turns out the entire offensive line got injured, and then the entire team got injured. And so then we got to see that depth that we talked about, which wasn't existent. There is no depth on this team, and you don't expect there to be much depth in year one of a rebuild with 62 new players and 30 of them freshmen. Most freshmen, especially when you're recruiting at our level, are not coming in and being stars. So I think you had the bye week. You played Iowa. You were pretty healthy at that point. Everything went right. You saw what they could be. Then you saw it the next week against Michigan for 2.5 quarters maybe, and then you kind of fizzled, and then the depth had to reemerge again because everyone got hurt again after playing 2 football games, and then you're just dead. Your team's just dead. There's nothing you really could do. It was a miracle they even beat Purdue because they tried to blow that game. I don't know what fans want. Like the expectation was 5, 6, 7 wins. Like that was like a realistic number. They had 5. It's just the way it happened was kind of sucked. You should have beat Boston College. You probably should have beat Michigan. I don't think people thought you'd lose by 20 to Illinois and Rutgers. Indiana turned out to be really good, and obviously you got blown out by them. Oregon and Ohio State, you were never going to win those games. And realistically, Michigan wasn't even supposed to be a game preseason. So just the way it transpired and the way it ended is why people are going to be upset. But ultimately, I feel like this is like kind of what should have been expected throughout the year. If you just said, oh, yeah, they went 5-7, they lost to these teams. These teams are ranked this, blah, blah, blah. Like 4 of your losses are ranked teams. And then you lost a road game in the red bandana game. Like it is what it is. You're not a good. They were not a good football team. They didn't have any depth, and Aiden Childs was running for his life for the last 4 weeks. Like, I don't know what people wanted him to do. I don't know what people expected. Better effort, maybe. Like, I don't get it. Like, I feel bad and it sucks, and I hate that they stink, but at the same time, it's not like they vastly underwhelmed like Michigan, who was supposed to be a 10-win team. At least
best 7-5 season of all time.
At least at Twitter.
Yeah. I think coming in, obviously preseason, we kind of thought this was the expectation, 5-7, 7-5, somewhere in the middle of that. I think where it hurts midseason is that you saw the flashes and how good they could be prior to losing depth. You saw flashes out of Childs. You also saw really bad stuff out of Childs. That's kind of what you get with a quarterback like him. You see guys like Nick Marsh. You see the running back room. You see, Jordan Turner was a phenomenal linebacker this year. Charles Brantley, Ed Woods. Like, there was really good talent. And when you're as thin as Michigan State and you get the amount of injuries that we do, I think that's probably what's most alarming, how injured we have been every year. And also just it never felt like a cohesive team. Like, as soon as guys went down, it just didn't seem like we were really playing with effort. You'd think with like underclassmen, I know they're obviously not as skilled as some of the seniors on the team. It didn't seem like they really wanted to be out there either. I think the most frustrating part, and obviously, like, at the time, I was like, I'm over Smith, just because, like, you lose that bad to Rutgers, it's a really bad feeling, especially a program like them. It's Greg Schiano. It's like Rutgers hasn't ever really been relevant in our lifetime. But the more alarming thing, I think, overall, is the fact that it is like with the athletic department as a whole, it doesn't seem like football is a priority, even though it should be, because it generates most of the revenue and trickles down to the rest of the athletic department. Spartan Stadium at large is a horrible place to watch a Big Ten game. I'd probably say like bottom 5 in the Big Ten, maybe bottom 10. I haven't been to every Big Ten stadium, but it's just there's not really any redeeming qualities. It seems like we have no idea what's going on with NIL. We keep hearing new collectives, but we don't ever establish and work on any of these collectives. Michigan State, I know, has money. There's rich alumni. It's a huge alumni base. And we have like Darian Harris, who's a popular, I don't know his title, Al, in the football program, but he's arguing a fans today on Twitter who is saying that they have no idea what's going on with the NIL. It's like, that's a valid comment. I know we're not in the rooms, and I know like the impact he's made on these athletes' lives, but from where fans sit, we're going 5-7. We're a 60th recruiting class coming in. It's yet to be seen what we do in the transfer portal, but Smith was dealt a really bad hand. Mel Tucker, I think, left this program.
Yeah, he did burn this place to shambles on his way out.
A worse spot. And it all trickled down from D'Antonio's last year's as kind of like an FU based on the board. And that's kind of where everything's trickled down from.
D'Antonio, for people that don't remember, left after signing day.
Yeah.
Like a
when
day
the bonus cashed.
A day before the last signing day. So legitimately zero time to do it.
And then Tucker comes in and he has to fill the whole team with transfers, and that was kind of his MO anyway. And then all those transfers end up leaving. And then Smith comes in, doesn't really have time to establish. Well, I guess he did. He came in right after the Penn State game, but still, like, he came in all the way across the country. He doesn't have any recruiting ties here. And then I think the alarming thing today comes out, like, we lose probably our best recruiter and Coach Meat, who's an alumni. We lose him to UCLA kind of just for a job bump. And it's like, how?
Well, there's more than that. I mean, he's from California.
I was curious about that. I don't know if we want to veer off. That seemed like a little bit of a red flag to start the offseason.
He's from California. The guy who's the head coach at UCLA, he coached with for like 10 years.
It's just tough.
Offered more money, and now he's in charge as like pass game coordinator as well.
It's just tough because
there's other things. But
it felt like that was a strong suit of like guys we could develop, like recruit was our secondary. That's where we're getting most of our 3-star, 4-star buzz, and now we lose that. But I like the other coordinators. I don't really think it's a coordinator issue. It's just frustrating when your team is playing that bad versus Rutgers and you see a guy like Smith on the sideline, and I know he's always going to be like that. He's a statue, but like tear into somebody at some point. I don't know what he does in the locker room. I'm not there, but it's a really frustrating perspective from a fan on the couch.
I don't need him to do that because I don't need him to change who he is, because I don't think that's the problem. I think what I've read, at least today, is that Smith, how they described it was that Smith and his staff are recruiting and trying to retain players with their arms behind their back. Like that's how bad NIL is. Like it's in place, but then when they try to use it, it's not there. And then kids are like, oh, well, I'm not. Like, like in today's shitty college football landscape of what it's turned into, if you can't pay the kid top dollar, what is keeping you at Michigan State?
And
like, yes, we have lots of hot girls. We have a great college and we have good bars. And like some kids will stay for all that stuff and kids have. But like eventually when money is being thrown in your face from other schools that have similar type of things, why not just go play there? Like, nope. This is not going to be fair and probably not true, but a lot of like kids and younger people in today's society don't care about winning. They just care about money and themselves. And that's a bigger issue on the whole globe. But like, it's not about that. And so I think Jonathan Smith has the right idea of how to build a program. And I think he's trying to do everything he possibly can. And I do think he could build a program, but someone in the athletic department has to get behind him and give him the things he needs. If Izzo wasn't the coach for basketball, we wouldn't be recruiting like we are and having the NIL support that we do. Izzo is just that big of a figure that he can do it on his own. He can get Magic Johnson to fund our basketball team, which is, I think, is what happened. That's what's happening.
And I think,
but you have people that want to pay.
It is refreshing though to see the only reason where I can't buy back in as a fan until I see it on the field. I think Connor said that best, not to be like a bad fan or anything, but like we haven't seen it. I think that's why so much of the fan base is frustrated because there's zero direction with the NIL from the athletic department, and we're 41-41 the last 7 years. Like that is a really bad product from where MSU was under D'Antonio most of his tenure. But I think where I at least kind of have a glass half full approach is you see leaders like Childs and Marsh and other guys on the program saying like, we're going to get this right. And you have guys that have been through this struggle. So I ultimately like kind of believe them. Like we do have good leaders left, I think, in Childs and Carter and Marsh, but whether that's going to produce on the field, that's another thing. It is nice to know. It sounds like at least we'll be able to keep Marsh and some of those other guys, but it's yet to be seen how we're going to fill out the O-line. If we're going to be able to stay healthy, I think it's going to be, we could have one of the best transfer portal classes in December and sign all these guys, but it doesn't mean anything if we're injured halfway through next year. So I think that's a problem that needs to get figured out at MSU. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but it's just been alarming over the last couple of years. So I don't know.
And I think people should remember, like, year one was never supposed to be spectacular. Like, anything. This season was, by all standards, better than last year. Like, there's tangible things you can point to and be like, yes, that was better. Yes, that was better. Like, we looked like a competent football team until week 10, week 9. And we were in games. Like, we were competing. Like, we had decent concepts. We had decent coaching. We have a quarterback that we know can be very good if you just put something around him and maybe protect him a little bit. So at the end of the day, they're not like off track, but if you don't get like people excited, like there's no excitement whatsoever. Like attendance this year, this is the first season ever that we haven't had a sellout in like 20 years. We didn't have a single sellout this season, which is all-time bad. Mm-hmm. We're a top 20 revenue athletic department in the entire country. We're like 18th. We have 500,000 alumni. We have billionaire donors that love sports. It's just completely unacceptable how bad the last 10-ish years have been. It's completely unacceptable. And the administration, the athletic department has to do something to get people excited. I don't know what that is.
They need us on the NIL collective, social media account, whatever it is. You got to be making like, you got to leverage the pain. You didn't also go into the past. You got to be running hype videos every day and then being like, you want to get back to this? $5. And like, just do it every day so it wears people down. Like, damn, like that Rose Bowl that we won against Stanford was sick. Maybe I will give $5.
Like the Mel Tucker era, not good by any means. Like he did a lot of things wrong, but what he did right was he always created buzz. He did a phenomenal job of creating buzz for the program. He recruited his balls off. whether or not like they turned out. I mean, he went after 5 stars, 4 stars. He put the most 4 stars and 5 stars ever on our campus. He pulled out the cars, and yeah, it's a funny bit like now that we sucked and he jerked off on a phone and got fired. Like it's all a funny bit now. But like in that moment, we were all so sucked into it. We're like, this is the coolest shit ever. Like we're awesome. People love Mel Tucker. Kids loved it. We're
Who's
getting
that 5-star that you guys were like followed the offensive line?
Keontae
Like they were
Goodwin.
like tracking his visit to campus one of the
Keontae
weekends.
Goodwin. Yeah. He went to
What was that?
Kentucky and then never, I think he left because he had.
like I'm seeing
Yeah.
like players in Texas A&M, Texas that were on our campus for official visits, and I'm like, now we're getting 2-star like Mac flips on
You
campus.
you just see all these guys that are like big time players in college football games, and they were Mel Tucker targets, but now they're on other programs. And whether or not he got the guys, but you see like Sam Levitt, you see one of the Georgia tight ends was one of his targets. Like Caden Salter just hit the portal from Liberty. These are all guys that Mel Tucker recruited.
Jeremy
He
Bernard,
had the
Gino
right idea. It's
Vandermark,
just-
Keon
you had-
Coleman.
You had 2 of the most useless coordinators in college football, and that's why it was a horrible product. But
Like for all he did bad, I mean, he knew that the only way to win in college football is to get a shit ton of talent, and he did everything he possibly could to do that. He just didn't know how to coach football.
it just feels like our athletic department has become an athletic department like Stanford. Like we're good at all the sports that like generate zero buzz and don't care about it. Like it's funny for me to say like women's soccer school or like women's basketball school, or it is fun that we're number one in hockey.
Even
but,
college
like,
hockey, like
at
no
the-
one really actually.
at the end of the
cares
day,
about
if we win the national championship in hockey, like yeah, it'll be cool to say, but like to a Michigan fan, it's like cool. What happened in football? You know what I mean? Like to a base level sports fan, it only matters what happens in football. Even basketball, even when we beat Michigan basketball, it doesn't matter because we didn't win in football. So it always comes down to football.
Mel Tucker got
I
everyone to
do
back
still
him.
embrace
He
being a
got the
basketball
ADs to
school.
back him. He got people to pay for him. If you're going to give all that crazy amount of support you gave to Mel Tucker, who like was known to be doing shady shit, drinking, like sleeping in his car, hitting on chicks at the golf course, like doing not good head coach type stuff. Why can't you give the same support to Jonathan Smith, who is a truly genuine dude who's probably not going to jerk off on the phone with another lady? Like, you can't just pick and choose. You have to fully support. Football runs this country, whether you like it or not. I'm a college basketball guy. I still love college football too, but you can't just be a basketball school. That's dumb.
Yeah. And it's just-
you were way too good from 2010 to 2015, 17 to just give up on football.
And
You
you
reached it.
have like at Maui, you have Alan Haller sitting next to Magic Johnson, who's like heavily involved in the Dodgers. He's heavily involved in the
Billionaire.
Commanders. Like what are we not learning from Magic Johnson and like putting into place at Michigan State? He clearly cares about this program. He comes back for games every year, as busy of a guy he is.
There's
There's
definitely
just no
some
excuses. Like it should happen.
to co-host Evan's point. There's definitely like some validity to the fact that there's a lot of people that got burned by Tucker, so there's a little bit of hesitation this year. I do think though overall, like, yes, you do need to play ball in the new era. There is a path though for like Jonathan Smith.
But it's
To-
Indiana. The path is Indiana this year.
It's like a maybe an Iowa State, Matt Campbell type deal where like you go for the guys in Michigan and Ohio, Pennsylvania that are 3 stars get overlooked by the bigger schools in the state,
Still
and like
get
you
4 stars though, Grant.
but you have to like be nails with developing, which is with the bet. But the thing that I'm worried about, you can still develop into
but you
that.
you have to get the schedule. You have to get the right schedule. Like it all breaks like
Get
that.
a good schedule.
So you're
Find
just rolling the dice.
Find one difference maker. Like develop your Aiden Hutchinson. Develop like your player.
Yes, and get them to not leave for more money somewhere else.
Also correct. Like there is some
Awesome.
sort of that's a route you could go, which I honestly think is almost more feasible at this point based on what I've seen. Like you said with the NIL, it could change, but like we don't know anything about it. The thing that I'm worried about for your guys' sake, like this kind of tightrope that I feel like is being walked going into next year and the year after. Again, things can change so fast. We learned that with Michigan, but like if it doesn't get better, if it's like just feels too daunting, there's a chance where Jonathan Smith's like, what the hell did I sign up for? And then like if that goes wrong, then it's like full free fall of like who picks up those pieces. But I think we're way too early to get there. But that's like
I wouldn't blame
my
him.
doomsday for my friends, where it's like if it doesn't we don't see improvement. He's like, I just can't develop fast enough in college football to even do this, and I'm not getting enough, and I'm just like going to go back to the West Coast somewhere, and then that would be total doomsday.
If it's real that we're not giving him the things he needs, then why would he stick around out here? Yes, he's like a top 15 highest paid. How are we paying him as much money as we do? He's like top 15 in salary in coaches, and then we don't support like all the things you need to actually have a good football team.
I feel like they'll get support this year. I mean, I'll think that, but I think maybe it'll manifest itself by his strategy of just getting a lot of darts at the board of like 3 stars or unsung transfers to build that depth, as opposed to go in for any splashy names. Like I think that should be the strategy this year. Is like try to fill out a roster.
I don't need splashy names. I need like the best guy on Liberty that's transferring. Like, give me those people. Those people are good. Like those people can
the
make
the Grand Valley Edge that entered the portal today. If we have Tucker, like I'm like, that's a slam dunk. Like we're probably bringing that kid in. We're going to sign that kid. I have zero confidence in any transfer that enters the
Notre
portal.
Dame bound at this point.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Tucker was bringing in former 5-star, 4-star, like high ranked transfers, and now we can't bring anyone in. I just don't understand.
They were all like bad attitude guys, which ultimately is kind of why the team fell apart. It didn't seem like a cohesive unit.
Yeah,
but
it didn't work. But at the
we
same
have no
time,
identity, and we're not really bringing in any talent. I mean, it's yet to be seen how we develop these 3 stars, but it just sucks from a fan's perspective because it's like these 3 stars could all pan out, but cool. Like I'm waiting 4 years, and what's the alternative in the meantime? I don't know.
This is Butler basketball,
and we're wasting a quarterback who could be generational.
We shouldn't be in that tier of shit.
Please
offense.
Don't be mean.
But like, we have too much money, too much of a program history to just be like, yep, we're Northwestern now. Like, how that can't happen. We're talking about the only team that went toe-to-toe with Ohio State for 7 years before you guys, the last 4.
It's just getting scary now, especially with the realignment. Like things are moving fast in college sports, and it's like kind of get on the train, or like you could be just in purgatory.
Like even schools like USC are losing guys. It's like, well, then why would anybody consider Michigan State? You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
We have a lot of good things, and if you can get people on Michigan State's campus, that's how you can get people to want to come.
You guys need those Detroit Catholic Central players. That's a good football team. They obviously beat the number 1. You just get all them. They play Bryce again.
We're not even getting the top guys in state because you guys are getting all of them. Like D'Antonio would always get a couple of the top 5 guys. Tucker was getting like the top 5 Michigan players because you guys were doing your national bit, and Tucker, whatever he did to get kids. I don't know what he did, but it worked.
Smith does get time. I know it's we can't make all the excuses, but I don't know.
I don't think Smith is not trying. I think people should know that. I think he's doing
December 9th to 28th is huge. It's just massive. The transfer.
Nobody can lose to Rutgers by 30 points and be like, that's acceptable. So there's going to be stuff that changes. I don't know what exactly it looks like, but it will get changed.
Good news is we have a quarterback.
25 players in the portal this offseason.
That's the hardest thing.
I thought it was interesting that he said, like Summer Child's like end of season kind of tell-alls that he did live at the press conference, being like, there's just guys in here that I don't understand like their motives. That's some deep shit that he was probably holding on to the whole year. Like that was alarming. You don't get a lot of that. And I credit him for saying it, just being like, so again, to your point, I think you said that, Cody, about like liking what they're saying. Like that's a big thing to say just publicly right after that game. He's just fed up with a bunch of players on that team's bullshit, which I didn't know about, that there was still a lot of me guys on there.
Yeah.
And remember, we have a quarterback that's half the battle.
Yep. And a weapon on offense.
I just lost. All right, I need to explain. So I'm in a heated playoff race in the golf league.
Okay.
Like I have to win this week. I had a 30.6 point lead.
And Cortland Sutton went off against you.
And Joku is 25 right now.
And this guy had Jerry Jeudy, and he has 6 catches for 167 yards and a touchdown and 30.7 points. And I'm going to
the revenge game actually happened. Who texted that in the group chat? Someone said Jerry Jeudy revenge game.
Colby did. He had a long touchdown, and then he called a 2-point conversion, and he went like this to the crowd.
I'm going to lose and miss the playoffs because Jerry Jeudy just went for 31 points on Monday Night Football.
That's crazy.
Well, you got 3 leagues? It's hard to care about all of them.
2. I mean, I have a work league. There's no incentive in that.
Quickly,
Lions?
to close it out before we go to bed, the Lions game feels like forever ago with the Bears. I don't know if there's any the Bears are just a joke. They fired Eberflus, good for them. That was SOL shit. I felt like I was having PTSD to 6 years of Lions football where we were inventing ways to lose games. He also has a very dumb face when they pan to him, much like Ryan Day. So I guess my football team's a big takeaway is thanks to the other head coaches for screwing up game plans, but wasn't necessarily inspiring to see us kind of cough away that game. I know injuries are the biggest storyline for our entire team, and this probably has a lot of the fan base nervous going down the stretch. At least I'm a little nervous. My goal, obviously, all year long has been the 1 seed. This team's good enough to be it. They deserve it. Well, deserve it's a subjective word, but I felt like they deserved it. But now when you look at the remaining schedule and they showed that graphic, I think it was yesterday for the Eagles, I'm like, damn, they have cupcakes left and we have an absolute gauntlet still. I don't care how many injuries the 49ers have. They're still a good team. So yeah, that was a rant, but I'm a little nervous about getting the 1 seed. This team can still win a Super Bowl from any spot they're in. It just, the bye week would be sick for some health, which I think you said, Cody, in one of our chats, that we need that.
Yeah, it was just I think it was nice to see a guy like Smith, like Brad's big trade deadline piece, play really well for this team. It was also nice to see guys as many injuries as there was, guys like Muhammad step up and fill a lot of gaps, and a guy I've never even heard of. So testament to the coaching. It did feel like early season Lions a little bit, like in the Rams-Bucks games, to where the offense was humming, they were playing really well. There'd just be a blunder here and there. Like the JMO penalty, which was tough, but that's already been addressed. The Gibbs fumble, I mean, we were about to be up 28-3 at halftime or whatever the score was, and he fumbles, which is uncharacteristic. Bates misses the field goal to go up 6, so you're kind of clutching your pearls at the end. But Matt Eberflus saved Thanksgiving, so shout out to him.
Thankful.
It's just tough to know what we're gonna get. I mean, obviously, I feel like we're gonna be set when the playoffs roll around, because we're going to get so many big names back in hearts of the defense. I do think we still have a good amount of starters on the defense, and then offense is relatively healthy outside of Decker. But it's tough. Given we kind of got screwed, and we thought this preseason with the back-to-back Thursday games, so we don't even really get the mini bye. It's nice to know we do still have Goff, and I think the coaching. Obviously we know how important the coaching is, but it's starting to, you see teams that have lost coordinators and what they look like this year. And then you see a team like the Eagles that gets 2 big name coordinators. And it's just, I don't want to say it's win or bust this year, because we've seen what Brad Holmes can do. We've seen the hires that Dan Campbell's made and the culture that he's built, but it just feels like next year is going to be really hard to win, especially if we're expected to lose both coordinators and not knowing really who we're going to backfill in those roles. So
come on, Wilkins, don't puddle and think like that.
I'm not puddling. I do still feel really good about this team, but it just feels like if we don't win this year, I don't know what it looks like next year. So there's just so much uncertainty.
Amon-Ra St. Brown said it best on his podcast.
I don't know what he said.
Players play.
Yeah.
Players play.
That is true.
We have really good players at all sorts of positions.
And we have a quarterback. We have wide receiver depth. We have the O-line. So I think we're going to be – obviously, we'll get Hutch back next year too.
Because Equinemius said this to Amon-Ra on his podcast. He's like, yeah, if you guys don't win this year, you're losing Ben Johnson. And Amon-Ra was just so taken aback, pissed off about it. I was like, I have nothing to worry about. This guy's on our football team.
I'm also so in the weeds of this year that I haven't even let myself get that far. I'm so –
that's way too big picture.
I'm already starting to get I know it's Monday, so it's clicker, but I'm getting butterflies for Thursday night already. Just looking at it on this ESPN box score here, this is
Jerry Jeudy. Oh, sorry, man.
Again,
big catch.
Sorry, no, you're fine. The Packers, the Vikings, the Eagles, all 3 of them. Not even they all keep winning. It's not
and
any
then
of them
the Vikings.
Sick of their shit, dude. Yeah.
I mean, we're tied. We lose. We're tied with them and the Eagles for the 1 seed. It's just. And to your point about the mini bye, we do get that after this game for, that's again, true. Buffalo. Yeah. We get to host Buffalo. Cool consolation.
Oh, my God. And Bo Nix threw a pick? The are we doing, dude?
Unraveling. But, this game, our friend Connor, he texted it. They're looking for their revenge. I'm so nervous. I don't feel great about it. I don't know why the spread is what it is. I have to see the injury report, obviously, but like this to me has to be a Ben Johnson, a players play on offense masterclass. I think this is going to be an absolute track meet like the Seattle game. If it's not, I think we're getting blown out. If our offense does not come and play an A- game, I think we're going to lose. Not like blown out like for NFL terms, but like it's like a 10 point, 13 point, 14 point game in like middle of the fourth quarter where we're like, yeah, we lost tonight. Because like they're playing good ball, they're pretty healthy. I just don't. It's not even our defense's fault. We're just throwing out like traffic.
We don't have anyone.
Points. No,
we don't have.
I know
anyone.
it's like it's not their fault.
We signed Quan Alexander, who hasn't been like relevant in 4 years, and Jamal Adams, but those are like the best names available. There's nothing else he can do. Yeah, he's gonna play the iffy role, I think.
I actually kind of love that.
But he's bulked up like a linebacker, so I don't hate it. But it's just
at practice.
Yeah,
he looks fast.
We might have to score. We have to score 40 points to win this game.
Is Carlton Davis playing? We're probably too early to know that.
Too early to tell.
But yeah,
like
I guess it's just
fans puddling last week about the game. Like, dude, holy shit! It's like the three of us are out there. Like, there is not much that you can physically do. Like, the only thing we can ask for is that the offense doesn't make dumb mistakes. Like, if they punt a couple of times, that's normal in a football game. We just don't realize that because we never do it anymore.
Yep.
As long as we're not fumbling, throwing picks, and like making drastic mistakes, like there's not much the defense can do. Like Kendall Vildor is
and the other corner
good football player.
Was the other corner?
That's just the reality.
We had two bad corners out there.
Vildor and Dorsey.
Khalil Dorsey. Yeah.
I mean, those are just special teams guys that are having to play a big role.
If you're Dan and Ben and you're in the room, do you not go, I'm just saying Michigan just because it's a recent example, do you go that blueprint of trying to muck this game up and just pound and ground and like limit possessions?
Like I guess I'm just scarred from last Thanksgiving though, when their defensive line played out of their ass, and
they're good. They're a good defensive line.
So it's just hard to know like what we're gonna get, and it feels like they're so salty from the last game.
4 weeks ago
in the rain game.
JMO has to score like at least one touchdown.
I want JMO to return punts.
No, I don't want to.
We need
a spark somewhere.
We do, and I hate talking like this. I'm just being realistic.
Dude, come on.
There's such a well-oiled machine, but it's just like
10 straight games, and we're like, oh, we need something special.
It's so hard to win in this league.
We know this team. We know when we're playing good ball. Our best ball was a couple weeks ago. I think we'll get back to playing best ball when it matters. But like this is that dicey stretch of the season, and the only reason I remotely sound puddle, I guess if you want to say, is because I want the 1 seed so bad, and that's what this is all about. We have
still
no
have
cushion.
A 55% chance to get the 1 seed.
Honestly, great 1 seed. We don't even have a cushion for our own division. Like this is just ridiculous how good these teams have been behind us, and they refuse to lose, and they've been playing worse ball than us, and now we're finally starting to look a little bit human with our injuries. But
you win the division. And then you don't get the 1. Your reward is Minnesota, Green Bay, or Washington. You lose the division. Your reward is Atlanta.
I can't go. Yeah. I can't go to Philly, though. I can't go to Philly in the playoffs. I can't do it. That's a no.
If you can't, that's fine, because I think the team would be fine.
Players play. Right.
Yes,
we're fans. Of course. Yes. Yeah, Michigan didn't think they were going to lose to Ohio State. I'm just saying mentally.
Than that team last year.
Mentally, I can't say feel good. I would pick them to lose on this podcast if they went to Philly in the playoffs in the title game. I'd probably say by like 3 points it would suck.
Yeah, I think it's fair to puddle. You've had 25 players go on IR this year. It's like some kind of record. So
I'm not puddling. I still think Super Bowl or bust for this team. I'm not saying that's not going to happen.
I do think we match up like fairly well, at least offensively versus the Eagles. I don't know. The defense, you never know what you're going to get sometimes. But
I got the report here. Let's see. Sorry.
It just seems like the strength of their defense is their interior, like Jalen Carter, and then the linebackers, and then obviously the corners. It's just
we're thinking though.
I'm thinking 1 seed. I'm puddling and saying we win the division, but we have to go to Philly. Because
Sirianni's such a bum. Like they could fall apart in 2 weeks.
Maybe Dan would outcoach him, but I don't know. It's just.
That would be one of the most satisfying wins.
Philly was like 9-0 last year, and then fell apart.
If we have to split the next two, I think we need, because I don't know how I feel about the Bills. I think Josh Allen carves up this depleted defense, but
Josh Allen's gonna murder us
this week. If we want the 1 seed, is a must win because of the NFC, because the tiebreaker is conference record, right? It's like if
I
we're
don't know.
gonna lose one of the next 2 games, we have to lose. It could have to be.
Can I say another spin zone though? I said it way long ago in the chat, but if we are thinking about stupid things that sports fans believe, it's hard to be an NFL team that's good three times in a year. So if we lose
Maybe
the
we will.
Packers, it makes me like if we beat the Packers, then somehow we got to play them again. And I really think we're going to beat them 3 times. I'd much rather lose. If you could promise me we lose tomorrow, but we beat the Bills, I would sign up for that trade right now.
The best part about the Lions,
Just for the NFC playoff picture, so I know we split with the Packers.
Yeah.
a lot of teams and coaches preach the next man up bullshit mentality, yada, yada, coach speak. Dan Campbell means that shit, and this team legitimately lives by everything he says. Like, there is not a more impactful locker room guy coach than Dan Campbell, so these dudes will play their balls off.
Maybe Mike Tomlin. Maybe
Well,
Mike
no.
Tomlin.
It was really telling.
No.
Gibbs posts a video. Of the,
They don't give a
Gibbs posts a video, and then Campbell comes out today. He's like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, we still got to go out there and play the game."
I do not care. Ben Johnson said, even if you see him, we're still hard to stop. Like, you're not. They don't give a shit about any of us. Anything
Point for
anyone
Connor
says.
Stallions.
Like, culture. Well, we talked about it in the Michigan Ohio State game. Culture matters. We have the best culture in the NFL, no doubt, hands down.
Especially now that Jamel's gun charges have been dropped. We're
We
good,
have
baby.
adults in the room besides JMO. And it's fine because someone will take him in and make sure he's an adult enough.
Practice report for Monday since it is a Thursday game. Decker, no practice. Levi, no practice. Pascal, no practice. DJ Reader, no practice.
Reader's
Carlton
good.
Davis, limited.
Reader's good. He said he just injured his
Yeah.
shoulder.
Emmanuel
But he's
Mosley,
good.
full practice with the hammy.
I think
Okay.
most of those guys are going to play.
I think they held Mosley last week because it was a short week.
And Davis is back. That's good because he was out last week, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
If we can get Davis and Mosley back, because then
If we have Davis and TA playing, we're fine.
we're
we still
trying
have like
out
8 of
Davis.
11 starters, if we're being honest. Like we still
we
have
do.
like, starting caliber players. Out
Well,
there.
not
Jack
really,
Campbell's still
right?
out there.
Hutch is gone.
Losing Rodrigo,
Anzalone's
hurt,
gone.
especially with
Barnes
Williams.
is
But, like,
gone.
It's just a linebacking core. So that's not a starter next to Campbell. But then,
Luckily,
like,
Jack Campbell's
secondary.
still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't give a piss. Lions by 100.
I don't want to do it, but I think for the sake of the split, again, guarantee we beat the Bills. That's the trade I'll make.
That's fair.
Also, that game is protected, turns out. Can't be
Yeah,
moved.
I told you guys that.
I
You
said
never
it.
give that up.
I agreed.
No, I said it.
I agreed after you said it.
Packers 38.
Wow, that's a lot. Holy
Yeah, maybe
shit.
I should go down.
It'd be the highest scoring NFL game in history.
Packers 35, Lions 31.
Oh my God, a shootout on Thursday night
I think
football.
it's going to be. It's one of the best Thursday night games of the year. I think it's going to be special.
I think it's going to suck.
Really?
Yeah, it's going
The
to be.
first game sucked between them because of the weather. I think it's going to be on turf, flying around. There's a lot of good athletes. Jane
definitely
Reed,
scoring.
Jacobs.
Jaden Reed is going dummy.
Watson's going to look fast on the turf. I mean, they got players. So do we. Though.
Kraft apparently wants to injure Kirby Joseph.
Really?
Not exactly what he said.
He came out and
He said he
something
wants to
along
avenge
lines
all the
of-
tight ends that have been murdered by Kirby Joseph.
We also need. Speaking of Kirby, we need probably like a play and a half dumb plays from Jordan Love.
Jordan
to just,
Love all the time. I don't give a piss.
Oh, also Zadarius Smith revenge game. He's been
Oh my
kinda waiting
God.
for this. We forgot about that.
That's 3 sacks. Actually, he might flip us to winning now. That guy's a psychopath.
I was pissing my
He-
pants when he kept getting a sack against the Bears, and then he'd come off and he'd be injured, and then he's like back in, he gets another sack. It's just like,
He was.
Yeah, he was just
I was like,
tired.
this dude's made of glass for a second.
and then
I think
he's
the-
army crawling across the field when the Bears are trying to call a play.
I think
Yeah.
the Lions score to go up 31-20. Packers march down the field.
Onside.
No, they go up 31-21. Packers go down the field, score. They go for 2. Why? I don't know. Analytics. Don't get it.
Matt LaField goal.
They don't get it. The Lions win 31-27 after Terry and Arnold recovers the onside recovery. Don't even know if he's on the hands team.
He's on the hands team?
He should be. He says he wants to return punts.
Gibbs game.
It's true.
There's a lot of Gibbs talk this week.
Yeah.
Reporters are throwing him
Nah.
under the bus. I like
I think
a
this
Gibbs
is a Monty
game.
game.
You think
No,
it
I think
is?
it's Gibbs.
I think it's a Gibbs
Both,
game.
dude. Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
I'll go Gibbs. God, remember the Raiders game last year when he really showed out? I'll go Gibbs, 3 touchdown game, 2 rushing, receiving. Lions win 24-20.
You guys are
Defense
making me
does
want to
enough.
get back in. I will do Gibbs 2
Grant,
touchdowns.
why
I will
would
do
you
that.
pick against this team? They won 10 straight football games.
The thing about the Packers is like
they've had one close game in the
they're
last
really
10
dangerous
games.
when you let them get down the field, and we have two of the 5 best safeties in the NFL. So
Yeah, it's more of a hedging my bets so we're not 2-0 versus them in the playoff, and I'm like nervous we can't beat them 3 times.
Bullshit. Players play, man. Players
What if
play.
we
I
get-
don't give a shit about that.
Like I would love to play the Bucks. If the Bucks make the playoffs, give me them. There's no chance we lose to them again. We'd kill them.
what if we get all pro Jamal Adams? Remember last year when we signed Bruce Irvin and he was kind of elite for a game?
He had 1 sack, I think.
And then I think
Jamal
he had hands
Adams-
to the face.
You're telling me Jamal Adams is lining up next to Jack Campbell? Because I would lose my mind.
Yeah,
He's playing the iffy role. Because since Iffy's
I
back
told
on
you,
IR.
if we signed Jamal Adams 5 years ago, like I would have had his jersey in.
Quan
immediately.
He's not starting though.
Quan
No,
Alexander's also
I like Quan.
psycho.
Quan
We did
Alexander
bring in-
got cut from the Steelers. Like he's
Also,
dog
Jamal
shit.
Adams has had like some locker room issues. We brought in some character concerns, but we're gonna turn them into dogs.
Yeah,
They're old and they're trying to win a Super Bowl. They're gonna all put their thing. What is it? Tuck your tail. They'll tuck their tail for this team because Dan Campbell's culture, and they're not f***ing around.
We're the Patriots now.
Players play.
We get the guys.
Coach is coach.
Yeah.
I am nervous for
Can't believe
Thursday
you're
night,
picking
but
against
it's
us.
fun.
Even if we lose, it's
Yeah,
fun.
I know. I said that. The goals are still in front of us if we lose.
Brian Branch
Fine.
didn't play last time against this team.
Well,
That is
did for a little
true.
bit. Double bird.
Bye-bye,
Like
Brian.
that
one
was.
God, I hope he balls out against Connor.
Jordan Love makes bad mistakes.
That
And
pissed me off.
Ford
last time
Field
he said
is
that.
going to be.
Oh, we
rowdy.
need it. It needs to be drunk.
It's going to be playoff level round.
There's gonna
Take
be
Thursday off of work.
There's gonna be so many Brian Branch double bird shirts in the crowd. I can't.
Oh, they're not even be able to show them.
Oh,
we get Al
Kirk
Michaels for
Herbstreit?
this.
Come
Al
on.
Michaels is going to be half asleep.
Gibbs 90-yard touchdown, and he takes it in for the score.
I kind of want Joe Tessitore to call this one, which I can't believe I'm saying that, but I would like him to sub in.
I just hope Amazon Prime pumps the crowd noise and I don't have to hear them.
Oh, it's going to be laggy. Oh, it's going to be a torture chamber. Their streams always look weird.
It's never laggy for me.
I don't know. Prime doesn't do a great job.
They do for me. I really like their stuff.
All right, that's the show.
Cheers.
193. To the Lions.